Top Hats and Bow Ties. Written and narrated by Jill Penrod. Chapter 1. Aurora. I'm running late. This is normal, and yet in my 26 years on this planet, I've never gotten used to it. I hate to be late. Today I don't have any timed events, but I know how long it takes to do each thing I need to do, and I should have left this house 10 minutes ago. After one last look in the mirror, I dart into the kitchen. I'm happy with my hat. The dress isn't my favorite, but it's got the right colors, and it matches the hat. I must say the little felt number that looks like a throwback to the 20s makes me smile. I don't think I could pull off a short 20s hairdo, but I can put together a decent twist and make it work. Like it matters, especially when I'm late. I grab lunch off the counter and give the place a quick scan. It doesn't take long, as my apartment is 85% visible from the front door, all but the bathroom. I'm not a fan of the place, but it gives me a place to stay until things come together. I hope against hope today will end with a contract that gets me closer to that day. What I don't hate about my apartment is the landscaping. I live in a house divided into 3 rentals. Mrs. Barrage owns the place, and she lives on the 3rd floor. I have the 2nd floor. The Bakers, a young married couple, just moved from the 1st floor, so that one's empty for now. Not many people move into Coon Valley, so it might be empty for a while. Mrs. Barrage is outside this morning tending pansies. It's cooler now, summer nearly over, and she's replacing spent summer flowers with fall designs. By the time I get home tonight, I expect the plots to be filled with pansies and mums. It will look beautiful. Mrs. Barrage wouldn't stand for anything less. "Aurora," the older woman says to me. She clicks her tongue and runs her gloved hand over white curls. "Darling, I do love that hat." I laugh. "So do I. I have to run, Mrs. Barrage. I'm late again." She waves me off, and I wonder if I could hire this woman to landscape when I get my house. I sigh as I climb into the car. Is a house an unreachable dream? I'm self-employed, an event planner in a quiet town with an aging population that doesn't celebrate much. And I decorate, but again, everyone around here has original family items from the 60s and 70s and doesn't think they need to update. "No," I say aloud, glancing in the rearview mirror. "Aurora Hart, we are going to be positive today. If the contract comes back, this might be our best month ever." My first stop is the flower shop, and I run, yes, I run, to the door, because I need to get everything finished today and get my bid for the Hollow Fork restaurant squared away. If I can get an in with the wealthy town in the valley, my life will turn around. The bell on the door announces my arrival, and I stop, lean against the glass door, and take a deep breath. Nothing brings me to life like the smell of the flower shop. Although today, something is different. A new smell overlays the rest. A smell like... "Welcome," says an unfamiliar voice, and an unfamiliar man steps out from the back. The smell is men's cologne. A subtle, pine-infused smell, maybe with a hint of sage in the lower notes. It's a very nice scent. But maybe I only think that because I'm now facing a very nice-looking man. I simply blink and take him in. First, he's handsome. He could be in a magazine ad for his exotic cologne, with wavy dark hair, large dark eyes, high cheekbones in a wide face, and 2 perfect lips, naturally red. When he blinks back at me, his eyelashes brush those cheekbones. Second, he's something from a Regency historical novel. The man is wearing breeches from another era, a white shirt with a dark vest, and a cravat instead of a necktie. I have no idea where this man found such an outfit, but it's amazing, and I finally take a step away from the door into the shop. "Oh," I say, "I was expecting Maddie." The man smiles and looks me over. He pauses at my felt hat, his eyes twinkling as his smile deepens. "I like the hat." "Thank you. I like your outfit. Where did you find that?" I should have asked him why he was dressed in clothing from 100+ years ago. That would have been a sensible question. But he looks comfortable in his clothing, moving through the shop with a bouquet in his arms that he gently places in the front display case. He closes the door on it, keeping the chilled air in the display fridge, and turns back to me. Even more, I should have wondered what he was doing here, but I barely think about that part. Maddie has never hired help in her life, and then for her to hire a beautiful man who dresses like he's just stepped off a time machine? I might be drooling. I need to close my eyes and get my brain back. I sew, he says. He leans his hip against the counter and crosses his arms. The sleeves are rolled up, and he has strong arms. Of course he does. Regency romance novels always include well-dressed men with strong arms. I seem to have stepped into a storybook. People see me and learn I sew my own clothes, and they make assumptions. I'm a man who works in a flower shop, who sews his own clothes, and prefers couture from days gone by, but I also like dinner with a beautiful woman every now and then, and... He stops talking, and that pale skin of his lights up like Rudolph's nose. I cannot help but burst into laughter at the mortified look on this man's face. He lifts his chin, blinks twice, and puts out his hand. I shake it. Rhodes Dumont, he says. I'm new to town. Maddie is my mother's sister-in-law, and she's under the weather, so she called my mother, who knew I needed something to do right now, so here I am. He pulls his lips in between his teeth, and then he smiles. When I'm around beautiful women, I talk too much. I have to smile back at him. This lovely man is much too real. You know flowers, then? I ask. I'm Aurora Hart, here to pick up 3 arrangements. Yes, he says, moving back around the counter. He exhales, like he's thrilled to get this conversation back to professional ground. Aurora Hart, let me get your invoice. I finished those last night. I'll go grab them. He slips through the doorway to the back of the shop, and I look around. I wonder what's wrong with Maddie. She's in her 60s, yes, but she's healthy. I can't imagine what might force her to put the shop in the hands of someone else. I grin as I recall the look on Rhodes's face as he realized he was warning me against making assumptions about him. Poor man. I can't imagine he's telling me the truth that I flustered him. No, I'm not hideous, but rarely am I called a beautiful woman, and men never have trouble controlling their tongues around me. He brings 2 beautiful arrangements to the front and sets them on the counter. I'm taking them to Mrs. Dupree this afternoon, as she's holding an open house in the morning, hoping to sell her home. Mr. Dupree passed a month ago, and she needs to downsize. She lives in a lovely, large, ancient home on the far side of Coon Valley, one that requires more upkeep than an elderly woman, even a rich elderly woman, can give it. She's moving to a condo 300 miles away to live near her daughters. She hired me to stage the house for sale. They're beautiful, I say. He hesitates with a smile, and then returns to get the 3rd, which is more beautiful than the first 2. I hate to think this, but he's more talented with flowers than Maddie. Now the invoice, he says, looking at the page on the counter. He frowns at it. I'm better with flowers and fabric than paperwork. This might take me a minute. If you don't mind, I'll put these in the car while you work on that, I say. He nods absently, staring at the invoice. When I get them settled, I return to find the invoice on the edge of the counter. The man has perfect handwriting, reminding me of my 2nd grade teacher. I pull out my credit card and take care of the cost, and then I decide to ask some of those questions I should have asked at the beginning, back when I was drooling over the lovely man I'd discovered in the flower shop. Will Maddie be okay? I ask. Rhodes coughs and shakes his head. Yes, he says, although I know he's lying. My heart flutters. Maddie isn't that old. She's healthy. She's been owner of this shop as long as I can remember. No, he says. He puts out his hand and leans on the counter. She's not sick. I shouldn't spill her secrets, but she's gone and gotten herself married, and she's taking a month off to spend time with her new husband. Now it's my turn to cough. What? He smiles, exposing the most adorable dimples. She met him at a floral show in the city a few weeks ago. He lives in Masonville. He's going to move here, I think, but she's not sure she wants to keep up with the shop. She says she only lives once, and she wants to spend her waning years with her new husband. Mark. His name is Mark. And really, I shouldn't be spilling my aunt's story, but isn't it wonderful? New love at 64. Rhodes sighs, and I have to laugh at the longing in his eyes. Except it isn't funny. I feel the same way, that love is beautiful and amazing, and so far from my current reality, I could cry. If she doesn't come back, will you stay? I ask. I don't know, he says. I've never lived in a small town. I know I'm eccentric, and I don't know how that will go over. But I do love flowers, and Maddie will let me do what I want. It's like having a shop given to me. Who could turn down such a thing? You're used to big city life, then? I ask. He nods. Big enough. I worked in graphic design, but I like real art, something that touches my skin, you know? I once thought I'd be a potter, but a little reality had to reign. I'm good, but I'm not professional potter good. Anyway, I'm sorry to babble on. You're still a beautiful woman, and I'm still me. Believe it or not, I didn't even get my coffee this morning. Imagine me on coffee when talking to a beautiful woman. May I ask about your hat? I grin at the quick subject change. I imagine Rhodes talks a lot in all situations. In high school, a dear friend started a club called Straw Hats and Old Lace. We intentionally fill our lives with romance. Not just relationship romance, but beauty in all forms. Our favorites were always pretty dresses and hats. My friend Lacey owns almost 50 hats. I don't have space for that many, but I come close. Rhodes leans over the counter again. A club about beauty. He nods. That's lovely, Aurora Hart. He shakes his head and runs his hand across the back of his neck. Does the coffee shop down the street make a good latte? Hester makes good everything, I say. Well, she bakes, and her niece is the barista. But yes, best coffee in the world. He nods and looks at the front window. You're the only one picking up an order this morning. I might pop down and grab a latte. Would you? Could you? He rolls his eyes. I'm sorry. Would you like to introduce me to the coffee shop down the street? My morning is planned to the second because I have to finish this day with a bid in hand. But Rhodes blinks at me with those outlandishly long dark eyelashes, and I nod. I'd love a latte myself, I say. With that, he slips into a perfectly fitted jacket from the late 1800s, and he dons a top hat. I laugh, but he simply shrugs. It's the little details, he says. I don't make my hats. Those I have to buy. I don't make anything, I say. I have an eye for design. I run an event and interior design business, but I see and appreciate design better than I make it. He smiles, and he wings his arm so I can take it. With this man, that feels like the right move. He smiles ever more brightly, and wow, the man has the most charming, dimpled smile. I must admit, this change to my well-planned morning is interesting, more exciting than I expected a busy morning to be. Chapter 2. Aurora. We walk down the street to the Java Jam, and I note a few eyes follow us. With my roaring 20s hat and the Regency novel hero at my side, we don't blend into the landscape. Most give us smiles, and I wonder if they think we're heading to a costume party. Except, of course, that it's just before 9 on a Tuesday morning. Hester greets us with a smile, and her niece Amy takes our coffee orders. Within minutes, we're sitting at a table near the window with muffins and lattes. You can stay a minute? Rhodes asks me. He shakes his head, and I see sadness in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Something deep inside of him needs for me to say yes, and I doubt it's because he thinks I'm a beautiful woman. Yes, I reply, sitting across from him. Not for long, though. I have a bid to finish today. I'm hoping for a contract at the new restaurant down in the valley. It would prop me up for the next 2 months. He nods. Then I shouldn't keep you. I'm sorry. I can drink this in the shop. Nonsense, I say. You're new in town, and I'm being neighborly. Are you staying at Maddie's house? No, I'm over the shop. It's a little loft, about the size of 2 postage stamps, but I don't need much room. It has character. If you like design, you might like it. Have you been up there? I haven't been up there, and I wonder if I will. Rhodes is new and lonely. He's also beautiful and interesting, and within a few days the single women in town will discover him, and I'll be long forgotten. That's fine, because I have other worries, like my business and my future home. Unfortunately, I've chosen my future home. The problem is someone else lives in it and likely has no intention of leaving it. But dreams are dreams, and the house on Lowry Lane is mine. We don't dawdle over coffee. He finally slows down and tells me he lost his graphic design job because he missed 2 deadlines. I'm not organized, he says with a shrug. I try, but I lose track of things, especially when the project is interesting. Not that I had so many interesting projects. Graphic work has no texture. You can't smell it, you know. I nod, because I do know. I love to incorporate texture and scent into my interior design, I say. I understand exactly. So you've moved in? You closed down your life there? He shrugs and doesn't answer, which is his right. The man has a few stories, maybe some secrets. I admit it adds to his appeal, and he's got plenty of that to start with. I glance at my watch and shriek, which is embarrassing, but there it is. He grabs his jacket and slides it on, holding the door for me and placing a wide hand on my back as I exit. Then we walk in comfortable silence back toward his shop and my car. Thank you, he says. I'm sorry if I threw off your day. The coffee was very good. I'll need to bring in more clients for my aunt so I can visit more often. I hope you get your bid. Oh, I say as we get to the door. I love your arrangements, Rhodes. I have a birthday party for an octogenarian in 2 weeks. I wondered if I could get your thoughts on the flowers. I had decided against, but seeing what you've got in the display cases, I think you could come up with something original. Mrs. Beasley is cranky and old and not easily impressed. I suspect you could impress her. I might ask you to deliver the arrangements and meet her. I think she'd love your outfits. Rhodes nods. Of course. You finish your busy day and then come find me. I'm happy to help. He pushes open the door and then stops, frozen in place. I look at him and then shove forward so I can see. I don't believe what I'm seeing. Flowers and vases are on the floor, many broken. The window of the display case is smashed into 1,000,000 pieces on one side of the room. Rhodes runs towards the counter and slips behind it, stopping at the cash register. Open, and money gone, he says. Wait. He disappears into the back, and I follow, stepping around glass and flowers. I pull out my phone to call the police. When he reappears, his face is pale, and he holds onto the doorframe. They tore up things back there, too, he says, and they jimmied open the door to the basement. I've never been down there. Maddie locks it and says she doesn't store anything down there. I should call the police. Sit, I say. He looks around and then rights one of the 2 chairs in the building. I'm calling the police right now. Good, he says. He pulls out his own phone and stares at it. Thank you. I should call Maddie, but she's out of town. Does she need to know? I don't answer because Missy at the police station is on the line, and she takes my information and says someone is on the way. She tells me we shouldn't touch anything, but it would help to know what has been taken. While we wait, Rhodes moves through the shop, shaking his head. The damage is extensive, but it appears very little has been taken. The money is gone, but it wasn't even $300. He doesn't see anything else missing, but he admits he doesn't know the shop that well. I have to call her, he says, again looking at the phone. She's on her honeymoon. She's 7 hours away. How can it help her to know? But she has to know. I think if she trusts you with her shop, she'll trust you to take care of this, I say. She probably needs to know, but I don't think she has to come back. He heads to the back to make the call, and Max Jones walks into the shop, frowning. He's one of the Coon Valley police. He and I went to school together, and I never liked him. When he was in elementary school, he was a bully, and while I have no reason to dislike him since then, apparently I hold on to a grudge for a long time. Aurora, he says, nodding at me, how did you end up in this? I came to pick up some flowers, I say. Rhodes will be right in. He's calling Maddie. Max pulls out a notebook. Rhodes? Maddie is out of town. Rhodes is her nephew, and he's running the shop right now. He's living upstairs. Max looks around, nodding and making small noises to himself, and when Rhodes appears, Max simply stares at him. And you're Rhodes? Max asks. Rhodes holds out his hand. Max doesn't shake it. Rhodes Dumont. I was at the coffee shop with Aurora when someone broke in. You locked up? Max asks suspiciously. Leave it to Max to judge someone based on his clothing. He always looked at the Straw Hats girls the same way, like he couldn't fathom us dressing differently than everyone else. Of course, Rhodes says. I saw him, I say. We walked to the Java Jam together, and we came back together. And you're new in town, Max says. You know anyone here? No, Rhodes says. I've been here 9 days. I've been getting a feel for the shop. The door to the basement is open. I've never been down there. Max doesn't go to the basement. He doesn't look for fingerprints or clues. It's clear he thinks the eccentric man in the Regency clothing did this, and he doesn't need to investigate. I'll let you know, Max says as he heads out. Rhodes leans on the counter and looks over the mess. He thinks I did this, he says, clearly bewildered. Why would I do this for $300? I'm not sure I like your local police. I laugh. Some of our local police are awesome, but Max has never been my favorite person. At least he didn't arrest me, Rhodes says. And I have a report so I can contact the insurance company. I guess I have my afternoon cut out for me. You should go, Aurora. Get your bid finished. I think I can square things away and still be able to work on your birthday flowers. He shrugs when he says it. I can tell this upsets him. It upsets me, and it's not my shop. But he's choosing to make light of it, and maybe he has to do that to cope. I want to stay, but he's right that I have something to do. The Hollow Fork bid is one of the biggest opportunities I've run into in months. I'm not sure how to leave. Does Rhodes need a hug? He's a stranger that I find much too attractive, so I don't think a hug is the best way to end this. But we've had a strangely intense morning, and I hate simply to wave and walk away. It's all right, he says, making shooing motions at me. I'm going to be busy here, and you're going to be busy out there. Maybe we'll regroup another time. He's right, so I wave and walk away. Rhodes Dumont. I certainly didn't walk out my front door this morning expecting Rhodes Dumont. Chapter 3. Rhodes. I'm not sure what to do first, so I grab a broom and let the motion calm me. A robbery. 9 days here, and I let the store get robbed. Not that I have any idea how I could have stopped it, but yes, I do know how I could have stopped it. I could not have asked a beautiful designer to have coffee with me. I don't believe in love at first sight, so I know that's not what I'm feeling. However, interest at first sight, intrigue, fascination, yes, I've been in my skin enough years to know those things can carry me away without even trying. What's more fascinating than a woman in a vintage dress and hat who loves my flowers and belongs to a club that's all about beauty and peace? A beauty and peace club. She told me a little bit about it over coffee, how some friends got together in high school when they were having hard times, and the camaraderie of the club saved them. Recently, they realized they'd lost that part of the club, rescuing people, and they were now hoping to do that again, starting with a prodigal member who'd shown up and was working at an inn owned by 2 other members. I smile at the memories of the conversation. Her whole face lit when she talked about her club. Despite the whimsical hat and dress, Aurora Hart comes across as a no-nonsense businesswoman with visions and goals and a 5-year plan. Not my type at all. But then she talked about her friends and her club, and her interior lit as though another girl, a very shining, lovely girl, hidden in the depths, was trying to get to the surface. I know that feeling. Sometimes I feel like 2 people too. I dress one of them out of the past, and he gives the impression nothing can hurt or topple him, a man comfortable in his skin. The other one cowers more than I'll ever admit, wanting to find his place to belong. I wonder sometimes if the only quest in the entire world is the search for a place to belong. Getting all the glass off the floor is my first step. I haven't gotten Maddie yet, and I know that should be my real first step, but I'm not sure what to say. I didn't cause this break-in, but I feel guilty that if I call her and spoil her honeymoon, that makes this my fault. I take the cowardly route and sweep glass. Then I proceed to cut myself on tiny bits of glass that have stuck to the broom and dustpan. At this point, I sit on the lone upright chair and look around. How is the shop going to come back from this? Insurance will surely help, right? But it will take time. What am I supposed to do until we're open again? I'm wallowing. I've just met a beautiful, charming woman. We had coffee, and she ignored her schedule to help me. What do I have to wallow about? Okay, there's the police officer, who very clearly thought I had something to do with this. Does he think I would ruin my aunt's shop for $300? Just because he doesn't like the way I dress or what I do for a living? Up, I say, standing. New beginnings, God. Wasn't that what Maddie said to get me here? I need new beginnings as much as she does. You put a few things in my path to get me here, and I doubt you're shoving me off the path now and planning to let me free fall forever. Not an hour passes before I hear a knock on the door. I look up and find Aurora peering into the window. Another woman is with her, a woman who smiles at me through the glass. Oh, how I need smiles from 2 lovely women right now. I open the door, and Aurora steps inside and looks around. The other woman shakes her head. People can be real snots, the woman says. She's dressed in casual clothing, older sweatpants and a t-shirt. However, her honey blonde hair is pulled back with a bright floral headband, and she wears a watch with a floral band. Also, her tired canvas sneakers have had flowers drawn on them, in Sharpie if I'm not mistaken. I suspect I'm meeting a member of Aurora's club. The woman is short and curvy with a bright, warm, dimpled smile. When she smiles, I relax. I brought the cavalry, Aurora says. This is Precious Vanderbeck. She cleans. She's a corporate cleaner, meaning she works nights, so she has a little time right now. I felt like this needed a professional touch. Precious looks over the room and then back to me. At least it didn't flood. I hate to air out flooded rooms. Your Rhodes, then? Aurora has been... Precious rolls her eyes. Aurora has been gushing. Strangest thing I've heard all week. And I can see why. My goodness, sir, you simply burst with loveliness, don't you? I have no idea what to say to this, so I smile, my melancholy mood gone. Precious is carrying cleaning supplies, including some kind of long dust broom, and she steps around us and gets to work. Can I let her do this? I ask Aurora. I need the help, but we can pay her. Can I pay her? She would never ask, but yes, she'll accept payment. It's one reason I thought of her. Mutual help is needed. How are you doing, Rhodes? Is it spooky in here now? What do I do while we wait for repairs? I ask. I'm not good at sitting still. Not lately. She hears the slip, I can tell, but she doesn't push. Instead, she points to the back. "This is completely selfish," she says, "but have you been to the basement?" "No," I say. "They worked hard to jimmy that door. I wonder what they expected to find. I'd love to go down and see it." She smiles with the most impish grin. I glance at her friend, who's grinning at us with the matchmaker look in her eyes. Uh-oh. Aurora is nice, of course, but she's intense. I don't need her friends working to set us up. However, I'm flattered to hear that she was gushing about me. I'm not sure anyone's ever done that before. Aurora asks Precious if she needs us, and she waves us away, asking us to tell us what we find. "I'm not much for dark, spooky places," she says. Aurora laughs. She's not lying. She threw up at the haunted house in the corn maze. Lamest haunted house ever, but that didn't stop her. "Hey," Precious says. "Aurora, I called your new fellow lovely, which he is, and you choose to make me look bad?" Aurora walks to the other side of the room and hugs her friend close. "Sorry, Precious. I'm grateful, and you know it." Precious looks embarrassed and waves us out again. "You've been friends a long time," I say, as we duck into the back of the building. Flowers are all over the floor here, a strange floral rot scent in the air. "Yes, since high school." "I know we're wasting our time, but thank you for letting me sneak around your basement." "It's not mine," I say. "Didn't you have a full day planned?" She giggles. "I did. And now you see why I'm nearing 30 and struggling with my business. Sometimes adventures get in the way." Again, I love seeing her relax. When she relaxes, her eyes sparkle. She taps her hat into place and stands at my side, both of us staring into the darkness of the basement. Cool, musty air wafts up around our legs. I reach along the wall for a light switch, but don't find one, so Aurora turns on her phone flashlight and puts it in my hand. "You're going first," she says. "You dress like a historic romance novel hero, and that means you'd never let the lady go into the dark, scary basement first." I can get behind that. I don't dress to look like a romance novel hero, and I don't remember anyone saying that of me before, but I find it flattering, and I want to live up to the idea. Maybe I should read a romance novel to see what's expected of me. The stairs creak under our weight, and I can see footprints in the dust from a single pair of shoes. Athletic shoes, it looks like, sized for a man, but not a huge man. Then at the bottom, a string bats my face, and I reach up and pull on it, bathing the narrow room in dim light. It's not empty like Maddie says. Instead, very old boxes line one wall, and 2 old display cases take most of the rest of the room. Then a wall divides it, and the doorway leads to a hot water heater and furnace. I know nothing about appliances, so I barely look at them. I'm drawn to the boxes, and so is Aurora. Without hesitation, she opens the closest box. "Papers," she says. "Old papers. Can you tell if any of these were opened? Were your thieves looking for something in particular?" "Would they expect money down here?" I ask. It seemed clear they wanted to cause destruction more than anything else. Aurora nods. "I suppose. A few months ago we had some strange events in town, including a murder, and there seems to be a mystery surrounding my friend's inn. Now I look for deeper meaning in everything." "A murder," I say. "I hadn't heard about a murder." "An old man named Max Castleton was killed at the inn. Poisoned. They think they know who did it, but the explanations don't make sense. We're still missing information, or that's what he thinks. He's Lacey's boyfriend. Lacey owns the inn with Daisy, and she started Straw Hats." Aurora has a life filled with people, apparently an interesting web of people who deal with murder. Maybe I can put together a life filled with people here. Friendships and relationships have eluded me for much of my life. I know I don't help by the way I dress, but something about my clothes and my lifestyle feeds a strange place in my soul. It makes no sense, but there it is. I've never felt so lonely that I've wanted to switch up to jeans and a t-shirt to fit in. I hear a thump nearby and realize Aurora has gotten away from me. Then she gives a short yelp, and I decide it's time to stop daydreaming and get my head back in this game. I mean, really, how often does one get to sneak around a creepy basement with a beautiful woman? And I'm wasting time thinking about being lonely. Sort of explains that loneliness, doesn't it? Chapter 4. Rhodes. Look, Aurora says, and I realize she's moved to the room with the HVAC and hot water heater. Her voice is muffled, and I follow her. She's standing in front of an old door that hangs open a couple inches. I do a little mental mapping and decide the door leads to the basement of the dry cleaner next door. This door is ancient, Aurora says. It's so dusty it blends in with the wall. Would someone find this if they didn't know to look for it? You think this is more than a robbery or vandalism, I say. I'm skeptical. Since when do I find myself in the middle of mysteries? Maybe, she says. She tugs on the door, and in the end I help her open it enough to step through, which we do. It seems nobody in the dry cleaner comes down here, just like Maddie didn't come into her basement. Spooky, I say, shining my phone light around the room. This room is empty, no boxes. The HVAC is in the center of the large room, and there's no hot water heater. Would it be upstairs? I don't know exactly how dry cleaners work, if they need hot water or not, but if so, that must be upstairs. Aurora also shines her phone around, landing on another door across from this one, also open a few inches. Footprints continue toward it through the dust. Someone went right through this building, she says. I don't understand this. What did they expect to find down here? If this is about robbery and vandalism, they could be young, I say. They might be looking for the adventure, the thrill of it. What's more thrilling than opening ancient doors and going where you're not allowed to go? Aurora shines her light in my face. Were you one of those boys? The adrenaline junkies? Troublemakers? I laugh. No, my mom was alone. She was a seamstress. She also worried. I think my dad might have been bad news. Maybe she worried he would find me, but the result was she kept me close. She gave me a sewing machine and taught me the basics, and I learned to sew clothing. Not much trouble there, sitting alone at a sewing machine in Mom's kitchen after school every day. She drops the light away from my face, and I'm temporarily blinded. Her hand finds my arm, sliding down until she twines her fingers with mine. I feel my face flame because I didn't mean to share any of that. I'm sorry, she says. No, I didn't tell it for that. I was happy at that sewing machine. I liked hanging out with my mom. Is she still alive? The question is asked with hesitation. She is. It's fine. Everything is fine. After a long pause, Aurora shines her light around one more time, and then she turns back. We can't keep going, she says. Can we? We left Precious up there cleaning, and I'm not sure this isn't breaking and entering. Let's go back. I'm all for going back and cleaning up the shop, because I want to go back to work. Today has been unnerving, and I want the comfort of arranging flowers. When I go home, maybe I'll sew something. Hat bands. I'll make a few hat bands. I don't have any floral fabric, but Josie on the other side of the street sells some vintage fabric at her quilt shop. Maybe Aurora and her friends would like some hat bands. I want an excuse to meet some of these women because their club intrigues me. Also, they belong. She called Precious, and an hour later she's in the shop cleaning on her afternoon off. I admit to some envy. We close doors behind us and make our way back to nostalgia, where Precious has the floors cleared of glass, flowers, and water. I am in awe of this little woman, especially when she shoots us a bright smile and asks what we found. Someone opened doors all the way down, Aurora says. There's not much down there, and we didn't go all the way, but it's a strange thing for robbers to do, don't you think? And if they were vandals, they got down there and didn't do much damage. Or any damage. Precious tilts her head. So what are you saying? Aurora sighs and looks at me. Rhodes, you have to understand the mystery. In the past few weeks, we've had some questions come up around here. An old man was murdered. He came because of some letters he found that belonged to his dead sister, who once worked in the mansion where my friends run an inn. It all points to old family secrets and treasures. And I think I'm trying to fit this in with that, but spooky basements here and a spooky attic at the inn aren't necessarily related. I smile at her honesty. She looks baffled, like she's not making sense to herself. I think she's making perfect sense. So, Precious says, looking from one of us to the other, I need to get more supplies from the car. I also want to top off the water bowl. Can I snag a little water from you? I nod. Of course she can have water, but I'm curious about water bowls. Pets, Aurora says. Precious has this fun van, and she carts her pets with her. They hang out in the van while she works. Pets, I nod. I've never had a pet, and always wanted one. Cats, I ask. Dogs? Both, Precious says. 1 cat and 3 dogs. They don't like to be left at home. I started taking them with me, and they like it. She fills a plastic bottle with water and heads out. Aurora looks at her watch. Do you need to leave? I ask. You have a bid to write. I got it done, she says. I pushed everything else aside and finished it. Now I'm yours, as long as you need me. We both stop a minute, maybe not sure what to do with a statement like that. She clears her throat, grins, and removes her 20s hat, releasing her hair with the removal of one single clip. It falls about 2 inches past her shoulders in blonde waves. It's beautiful. Well, she says, because I'm staring. Not well done of me. What should I do? I look around at the broken display case and the empty vases in the case and on the back table. I think I need to purchase more inventory, I say. Maddie left me all the vendor information. Most of the deliveries are automatic, so I didn't pay enough attention. It might take me a while to get myself together. She raises her hand. This I can do for you. Organizing and calling and ordering, all in my wheelhouse. I'm not a great housekeeper, but I can organize. Precious returns as I'm settling Aurora at the counter with all Maddie's ordering files. She returns my bottle and looks around. I'll clean out the display case next, she says, pointing. When they dumped the vases, the bottom filled with water. We need to bail it out of there and dry it. What's Aurora up to? Purchasing replacement flowers. She says she's good with vendors. Precious laughs. She's the best with vendors. I'm terrible at dealing with people, but Aurora's a natural. We work for another hour, after which Precious has to get ready for her regular job. I cut her a check. Judging from the look on her face, it's too big a check, but I think she's earned every penny and then some. She gives us a dimpled smile and disappears out the front door, and I settle on a stool next to Aurora. The window for the display case will be replaced tomorrow, Aurora says. Then the flowers will arrive the next day. Tomorrow you can continue straightening up or take the day off. You might take another day to make up some arrangements, or you can open your doors right away. We'll get you back in business as fast as we can. Do you have anything to do with the day off? Being new? Not really, I say. I need to find a church. That's where I usually meet people. This statement is a fishing expedition to gauge her reaction to my faith. If she's turned off, then I'm done. I don't need to fall for someone who doesn't believe what I do. My mother did that, and it didn't turn out well for her. I told myself long ago I'd only be with someone who plans to journey their life with Jesus. Then I donned crazy clothes and hooked myself to a sewing machine and floral arrangements, and I doubt dating and marriage is going to come up. I'm just too strange for a good Christian girl. Aurora's face lights. Oh, we have some great churches in town. I attend a small church with my grandmother. Then my friends go to a larger church. I'd love to go with them, but I won't have Gram much longer, and she loves to go to her old church. Sometimes I take her to my house, and she makes dinner. My Gram is 83, but she still makes great dinners. She'd love to meet you. Sold, I say. I smile. She smiles. Then both of us shake our heads and focus on the shop. I'm tired, I say, and hungry. We should go grab a meal. On me, since you spent your whole day helping me. Unless you need to go. I've taken enough of your time today. I should let you go. I sound panicky because I feel panicky. I'm rambling and taking this woman's time. I also like her and don't want her to leave and never speak to me again. So I'm in new territory, and I'm sure I'm about to mess all this up. She nods, maybe unaware of what's going on in my head. I'd love dinner, but I set up the crock pot this morning, so how about you come have dinner with me? I'd hate to waste a good slow-cooked stroganoff. Are you sure? I ask. You met me this morning. I threw your entire day into a disarray, and you don't know me well enough to invite me into your home. She nods. True. However, I can't imagine Maddie putting her shop in the hands of a serial killer. And I'll tell you right now, I'm inviting you for dinner. Nothing more. I enjoyed today. You make lovely flower arrangements, and you were willing to break and enter basements with me and not call me crazy for it. I expected today to be a long list of chores I didn't want to do. I do that to myself sometimes, schedule a whole day of the boring jobs, and I forget to have fun. Today was strangely fun. That's generous of her, except I think she's telling me the truth. I think her fun hat and dress might be hiding the heart of a workaholic. I wonder if I'm giving the fun hat too much weight. I've never gone for the super independent, workaholic, get ahead at all costs women. Or maybe it's best to admit they've never gone for me. But it's not a demographic that interests me either. I mean, I work in a flower shop and like it. The ambitious woman isn't going to lower herself to a guy like me. Chapter 5. Rhodes. I lock up the shop, and we start walking. She admits she only lives a few blocks away, and she left her car there. Precious picked her up this afternoon. It's a pretty town, I say. I'm not lying. It's clean and neat and idyllic, as much a place out of time as I am. I imagine a Model T Ford might feel right at home on these streets. Yes, she says. I don't live in a pretty place, though, but the rent is right, and I'm saving for... Do you mind if we detour? I gesture for her to lead the way, and she takes a left down a long street of little cottages. Probably very expensive little cottages. All are in perfect condition. A street that's been restored to former splendor. She stops in front of a pale blue cottage with darker blue gingerbread trim. It's fronted by a covered porch. I think it's one story with dormer windows in the attic. I'd love to own this house, she says with a sigh. It's not on the market. I doubt it will ever go on the market, but I love it. I'd fix it up and love it. I'd do it justice. I hadn't immediately realized, but she's right, that the house needs a little work. Most of the homes on the street are pristine, but this one needs some paint touch-ups, and the porch rails sag. It's not in bad shape, but it could use a loving touch. I love the trees, I say, because 2 ancient oaks tower over the house in the front yard. From here I can see the backyard of the house next door, so I know the yard isn't especially deep, a little deeper than what I consider to be a city lot. I imagine gardens with bright flowers against the foundation, where now the owner simply has a row of shaggy boxwoods. Flowers, I say, pointing to the foundation, or maybe flowering shrubs. It needs some color around the bases of the trees. Coleus, maybe. She laughs. Leave it to the flower shop guy to see the landscape potential. And what do you see when you look at it? The windows, she says. Leaded glass. I'd buy a leaded glass window for each of those front windows. I like the color, but it needs painted, so maybe I'd change the color. I can imagine rich blue curtains in the front windows, although I change my mind on the colors every time I walk past. Why this house, I ask, gazing up and down the road. This street has many beautiful houses. She tilts her head and looks at the house again, her gaze soft and warm. It needs me. That's all she says, and she starts walking again. I match her step, and we end up in front of an older house that's clearly been turned into apartments. The foundation garden is filled with bright pansies. "This is it," she says, leading me to the side of the house and up a set of rickety stairs. She opens the door to the second floor and turns to me. "It's not much." I laugh. "I'm not here to judge. You think I judge on appearances?" I gesture down at myself. She shrugs. "I think if appearance meant nothing to you, you'd dress differently." It may mean something to me, I admit, but I don't judge. You haven't seen mine. Trust me, I won't judge. Her apartment isn't tiny, but it's all one room, so it feels smaller than it is. Also, the ceilings on the first floor are probably high, but this section has lower ceilings, so the room seems to press from the top. However, it's neat. Sure, she has things lying around, but it's clear she doesn't let things pile up. 2 dishes sit in her sink, and a pot on the counter needs rinsed. A couple articles of clothing are on her bed, and her coffee table has several pages and folders. I'm drawn to a small bookcase next to her dining table. Several narrow books line the bookcase, and on the floor on the far side are 2 totes that look out of place in the space. "Journals," she says, moving to my side. She looks around. "You saw those. You look at this whole room and see a few little journals." I had seen them because they looked handmade, and she gestures that I take one. I smile. I can't help but smile at what I'm looking at. Aurora Hart has 15 or 20 junk journals on her bookcase. Journals created from various papers, some blank, and some with images or textures, a few fabrics, some stickers and washi tape. Junk journals. I open one, surprised. It's empty. "Right," she says. She seems embarrassed. I love the idea of journaling. I love to make journals. The theme on that one is a little dark. I found a Gothic art kit on sale at the craft store, but most of them are brighter. The thing is, I open it and have no idea what to put on the pages. I'm not sentimental, I guess. I don't need to keep track of my days or months or emotions or whatever a person puts in a journal. I spend a moment absorbing this, not sure what it tells me about Aurora. It says something I know. "Are all of them empty?" I ask. "Yep. I gave one to Jane, and that one's probably not empty. She writes poetry, although she hides that fact. Don't ask me why. Jane's the hardest one of us to figure out. I gave one to Lacey, and she pasted bird feathers and dried flowers on it. It used to stand on her dresser. I don't know if it does now that she moved to her shack." I leaf through a few more. I'm drawn to the Gothic one with grays and shadows, along with some deep lavender and magenta trim. One image is of a cat and another a full moon. "You like that one," she says. "You can have it if you want. Clearly, I have no use for them once I make them." She's making light of the offer, but I see through that. How often have I made some obscure article of clothing, historically accurate, and hoped someone would see the man behind the creations? Aurora and I might be more similar than I thought. "Thank you," I say, holding the journal close. "The bins are your supplies?" She nods. "Yes, when I have my house, wherever that turns out to be, I'll have an office. All my interior designs and my party plans can go in that room, along with my journal supplies. It's just something I do for fun. Keeps my creative muse happy, I guess. As an interior designer and a party planner, I always have to see my clients' visions. This is an area where I can create what I want." I look at her outfit, which seems unique to me, and she follows my gaze. Yes, I like what I like when it comes to clothes. Some of this was Lacey's vision, Lacey and Daisy, but I like it. Each of us has adapted the straw hat's ideals to our own lives. I like flowers, but I don't always wear dresses. Today I had some errands to run and wanted to look professional. She looks too pretty to be strictly professional, but I don't tell her that. We finished dinner preparations together. Yes, the guy who arranges flowers and sews can also cook. My mom worked long hours, and I helped by cooking dinner for most of my life. We were both happy when I was old enough to use the stove and stopped serving us PB&J 3 times a week. She places white candles and cloth placemats on the table, which is barely big enough for the 2 of us plus the food. She laughs and assures me she's only fancy for company. I don't have much company. I go out when I entertain. You have nothing to be ashamed of here, I say. It's small, but it's neat and clean and smells nice. That's the stroganoff, she says. It tastes better when eaten with company. Yes, that sums up a whole lot of truths quite well. So you want a house, I say as we eat. Her face lights up. More than anything, I have a plan. If I put enough money away every month, I'll have the down payment in 2 years. It could be a fixer-upper in the historic part of town, or a more finished house elsewhere. I've been working hard to increase my business for almost 2 years already. I hope to slow down a little once I'm in my house, but that will depend on the mortgage and future interest rates. She's excited about this, and yet it makes me sad. Don't work too hard and miss the time in front of you, I say. My neighbor used to say that to my mother, who always worked too hard. I love my mother, but she missed decades of her life slaving over other people's sewing, and it didn't leave her as fulfilled as she hoped. Fortunately, she finally learned to stop and smell the roses. I hope Aurora does that before she's in her 50s with arthritis that leaves her in constant pain. I'm fine, Aurora says. I hope to have a husband and children someday. I can have adventures with them. For now, I build my business, which means meeting a lot of people and making connections. A few weeks ago, it meant coordinating an open house over at the Straw Hats Inn. That was so fun, except for Heath getting stabbed. That's sort of a long story. I hold out my hand. That story I've heard. Maddie told me. She says it's a story everyone in town knows, so I should know it too. I didn't know I'd meet a friend to the notorious inn and tea room owners. She laughs. They would hate to be called notorious. Oh, I can't believe I forgot. Rhodes, I made the strangest discovery while I was going through Maddie's files. Max Castleton bought flowers at the flower shop. This means nothing to me, although clearly it's very important to her. Right, she says with a rueful smile. Max Castleton is the man who was murdered at the inn a few months ago. A few days before he died, he bought a boutonniere from your aunt. When I saw that, I did a little digging. Ellen Jacobs, who might be responsible for the murder, another inn guest, also visited Nostalgia the day before that. Your aunt left a note saying she might want to look into flowering tobacco because Ellen wanted some. Maddie's note says Ellen wanted something with a strong fragrance to fill her inn room with scent while she wrote her novel. I shake my head, needing a few more details. The murder suspect writes novels? Yes, she's a crime novelist. Max was killed with poison, just like in one of Ellen's novels. He was poisoned. With what? I have no idea, Aurora admits. I never asked for that kind of detail. Ellen wrote about a murder with poison and then actually committed a murder with poison? That doesn't sound smart. But she's still at large, right? She must be smarter than she appears. Aurora tilts her head. I never thought about that. We all thought it was dumb to write about a murder and then commit it. Maybe someone framed her, but we have no idea who or why. Ellen was the only other guest at the inn that night. Max was looking for something of his sister's, who used to work in the mansion when it was a residence. And he might have been looking for a treasure, too. Lacey recently got some letters that might have more clues, but I've been busy with parties and remodeling Dr. Clancy's dental office, so I haven't stayed in the loop. So she's missing things in her friends' lives. But at least she has friends. Who am I to judge? A man who walked away from my life, leaving almost nobody behind to notice my absence. I don't stay much longer. I'm tired, and I can tell she is too. Today has been long, the robbery seeming like it was 4 days ago. You have to walk home in the dark, she says. I'm sorry I didn't think about that. Are the streets of Coon Valley dangerous? I ask. She laughs. It's a beautiful sight. No, we don't have much crime in this part of town. Most of our crime is near the highway and the warehouses on the other side of town. And murder, I say. Right, but that has to do with the mansion. You'll be safe, although I can drive you home if you want. I'm happy to walk. I need the time to think. Do I want to see Aurora Hart again? Does she want to see me again? I need to think about it. Pray about it, I suppose, although I've never talked to God about a woman before. I haven't had many women in my life before. I grab my jacket, which I'd shucked off upon entering, and she smiles and runs her hand down my sleeve. You're an amazing seamster? I laugh at her attempt not to call me a seamstress. Tailor, I say. She nods. Good. Tailor. Thank you, I say. I helped Mom for a while, but I don't want to spend my life that way. It's my hobby. I pick up the journal and press it against my jacket, and she rolls her eyes. It's not that special, she says. You have a gift, Rhodes, with design and color. I know what looks good as far as interiors and parties, but I don't create like you do with flowers and fabric. I'm almost embarrassed you saw the journals. Never be embarrassed by your creativity, I say. I like to journal. What do you say? She asks. I grin at the honesty of the question. Today, I'll write about a robbery and how two beautiful women came to my rescue. And I'll mention stroganoff and a house with gingerbread trim that seems to need you, and empty journals I haven't figured out yet. What's to figure out? She asks. I shrug. I'm not sure. You create them, but can't fill them. I have no idea what that means. It means I'm crazy, she says, but thank you for being kind about my place. At this, I have to kiss her. She's ambitious, yes. She might miss things in front of her in her quest to make her financial dreams come true, but she's also sweet and vulnerable, and today she went over and above to help me. With those thoughts in mind, I lean down and kiss her cheek, lingering with my fingers on her chin and my breath in her ear. I feel her tense and sigh, and I pull back. Thank you, I say, for every single minute you spent with me today. I hope you can get back to your life tomorrow. That sounds more final than I meant for it to sound, but I leave it and step onto her little landing to head down to the ground and then home. It's been a good day. Thank you, God, I say. I've been feeling a little lonely, and you knew that. You always seem to know what I need. But when it comes to Aurora, I'll need to make some decisions. I'd love your help to do that. Chapter 6. Aurora. Aurora! I turn and find Rhodes walking from the parking lot. I haven't talked to him since that little kiss at my house 3 days ago. A kiss I've been giving more play than I should. He looks divine. The man walked straight off the cover of a Regency romance novel. He needs a woman in a flowing dress at his side. I don't know the names for any of his clothing, especially his hat, but I know that it looks good together, and it looks good on him. But what wouldn't look good on him? I suspect he has no idea what he does to the ladies in those outfits. Rhodes, I say. I nod to my grandmother, who's clinging to my arms, smiling. As soon as she turned to see Rhodes, the smile broke through. Grandma is seeing a wedding and babies, and that could be a problem. Rhodes, this is my grandmother Agnes Rector, my mother's mother. Rhodes stops in front of Grandma, takes his hat into his hand, rests it against his chest, and gives a slight bow. Ms. Rector, I'm pleased. Ms. Hart, the same for you. May I escort the pair of you into church? He wings his arms and waits for each of us to take one. Grandma is hooked. The hat, the bow, the manners. If we discover he's actually a serial killer, it won't matter. Okay, I'm hooked too. Coon Valley Community Church has about 70 members, and we meet in an older building at the west edge of town. The building needs work, but it's clean and functional. It has long, narrow windows that let in plenty of light, so it's welcoming, or I've always considered it welcoming. Rhodes looks around once we shake hands with today's greeter at the door, and I don't miss the wink Wendy Wright gives me because she knows I'm on the arm of a beautiful man, and smiles. "It's perfect," he says. I look at the stark space and shrug. "You think so? It's plain. It needs color." "Color wouldn't hurt it," he says, "but it has character, with the textures of old wood and flaking paint and the shine of the pews. This church has seen many hours of worship. It's seeped into its bones." Suddenly I'm worried. What if he doesn't like our worship? What if he isn't welcome? This church is older, and older people don't always like things out of the ordinary. Rhodes isn't ordinary. Of course, my grandma is one of the oldest people here, and I think she's going to ask Rhodes to marry her any minute now, so my fears might be misplaced. We don't get many guests, and between the door and the pew, 5 people shake Rhodes's hand. He smiles and charms, leaving his hat off. He sets it at his side when he settles at my side. Grandma is on my other side. Both Grandma and I are wearing hats, but we leave ours on. Today I kept it small, another felt hat with a narrow brim and a single silk rose on the front. Service is completely normal. We sing to a piano, an acoustic guitar, and an electric bass guitar. 2 of our songs are hymns, and 1 is newer worship music. I remain nervous about how Rhodes will like the service, but it doesn't take long to realize that fear is misplaced. Rhodes raises one hand during the slower hymn, something nobody here does. I notice a few glances, all of them punctuated with smiles. Then during the prayer, he leans so far forward, a lock of wavy hair nearly touches his knee. The sermon is what gets me, though. He brings out the Gothic journal he took from me, and he begins to write. I try not to pay attention, but beyond words he jots images, tiny images. His hand is in the way, so I can't tell what they are, but his rapt attention to the pastor suggests they have something to do with the sermon. Pastor Bradshaw is in fine form today. He talks about gifts, both spiritual gifts and vocational gifts, how people who understand finance, or run businesses, or raise children, or decorate houses or cakes are all vital to God's kingdom, that each of us needs to use our skills and talents and passions to create God's kingdom. It's not just about heaven, he says near the end. We talk about mission, and it's easy to think all that matters is bringing in new bodies. But that's not true. We build a kingdom now. We work within a community and use our skills for one another, for the churches, and for our towns and communities. Paul didn't tell all of his people to get out there and go on mission. He told them to love the brothers, to lead quiet lives, and to tend one another. I glance at Rhodes when he says this because I'm worried Rhodes doesn't see his talents. Does he realize how much God has gifted him? He has artistic skill and people skills. He won over my 80-something grandma in 15 seconds. He made me forget my house for a few minutes this week and think ahead to a husband and children. And his flower arrangements made my cynical older client actually clap her hands in joy. It was surreal. Rhodes raises his hand again for the final song, and of course he has a deep and beautiful voice that carries throughout the entire small sanctuary. Women around me are watching. Some might be drooling. I admit I smile at them in victory. It's petty, but there it is. The older women in this church are the worst matchmaking busybodies, and I've given them something to talk about all week. We sit at the end for announcements. Rhodes has his hat in his hand, fidgeting with the brim. The music director mentions a group gathering at the nursing home down the street to do some freshening and painting and maybe a little decorating, and he asks if anyone would like to spearhead that. Then he mentions Cassidy Simmons' surgery and says a sign-up for meals is in the back. Finally, he mentions both the youth and women's Bible studies later in the week. Rhodes gives me a strange look as we're dismissed. I'm surprised, he says. Seems that nursing home event is right up your alley. Nobody else volunteered." "Someone will," I say as we head out. Again we shake hands, more than going in, because Rhodes stood out, and people want to greet him. Eventually we find ourselves standing at the edge of the parking lot. Rhodes gives me another strange look. "Why don't you want to help at the nursing home? You talked about helping your friend at her inn, and you lit up when you talked about it." "I don't know," I say. "I have a whole lot of events coming up. I'm not done with the dental office, and I have 4 parties in the next 6 weeks. Also, I'm hopeful about that contract in Hollow Fork. If I get that, I won't have time for anything extra for the next 2 or 3 months. I can knock 6 months off my waiting time for a house." He doesn't look happy with me, which makes me angry. He's judging me because of a simple announcement at church. I took off a whole day to help him, and now he thinks I should give up my time anytime anyone asks. That's not wise. I'm a single woman with a one-woman business. "Okay," he says, his hands out in surrender. My grandma is watching this exchange, smiling. I'm not ready to give it up. Grandma tells me I work too much. Now Rhodes is saying the same thing. Did they not understand how hard it is to run a business? "I didn't hear you volunteer either," I say. "I know you have talent too." He shrugs. "You haven't seen my apartment. I sew clothes and arrange flowers. I don't think I have the kind of talent the church is looking for. Anyway, I'm a guest. Since when does a person jump into a leadership position 5 minutes after arriving?" He has a point, and I'm not sure why we're arguing, except he hit a sore spot. But how would he know that? "I'm sorry," he says. "I think after that sermon, I got carried away." "Do you think it's true? Do I matter to God when I arrange flowers or sew a vest? How can that be?" Now I feel terrible, because it's a horribly vulnerable question. Does he not see himself as talented? Does he not think these gifts are gifts from his heavenly Father? "Oh yes," Grandma says. "I raised 4 children. Some days all I did was keep them fed and clothed, but it mattered to God. Whatever your hands find to do, do it for God." I'm not sure how to apply that, he admits. How do I make bouquets for God? Grandma laughs. "You do your best. You reflect his beauty. Aurora says your arrangements reflect his beauty quite well." He looks thoughtful, and then he looks across the lot toward the car. "I have something for you and your friends, I guess." I'm intrigued, but he won't tell me what. "Come to my house and get it," he says, grinning. He looks 13 when he grins like that, the kind of 13-year-old who would dip a girl's hair in the ink pot to torment her. "I have to take Grandma back," I say. "Then I'll stop in." "Back?" he says. "I live in the nursing home," she says proudly. "Lovely place, lovely." Grandma isn't lying. She's very happy there. And now I'm wondering if I owe it to Grandma to help spruce up her space. But I honestly don't have the time, not if I ever plan to see my goals come to fruition. We separate, and soon I've delivered Grandma at her home and am parking on the street in front of Nostalgia Floral Room. Rhodes has 2 beautiful arrangements in the window. It's unfair to think this, but he's a much better florist than his aunt. I'm not sure how to get to his apartment, but he intercepts me by opening the door to Nostalgia. "There's no outside entrance," he says, "which is strange, I suppose. Come in through here." The shop shows no sign of what happened this week, which impresses me. Of course, most of that was Precious. She's worth her weight in gold, and she has no idea. My friends and I need to deal with Precious. I'm not sure why we keep putting that off. Since she lost her dad, she's not been herself, and yet we believe her when she says she's fine. I don't think she's fine. I top the stairs of the flower shop and enter a space that amazes me. It's smaller than my apartment, but not by much. He's got floral arrangements on the dining table and the kitchen counter. The walls are paneled, light wood that shines in the light of the windows. He hasn't been here long enough for that part to be him. Maybe Maddie fixed up the walls and ceilings to make this look like a modern loft. Is the furniture yours? I ask. He nods, looking uncertain. Where his clothing is vintage, his decorating is not. However, he likes color. Teal, lilac, a few others here and there, but also enough metal and wood to keep it masculine. I turn and realize he's watching me, waiting. You're a designer, he says. Is it atrocious? I laugh. You're a designer too. It's glorious. I never considered myself a designer, he says. I like what I like. You balance everything, I say. You do it in your floral arrangements too. Light and shadows, colors and hues, tall and short and soft and hard. I love it. He lets out his breath and leads me to his main table. This is a mess. His sewing machine has one end of a long table, and the rest is fabric and sewing notions and papers and sketches and floral tape and a little bit of everything. I'm told I'm a visual organizer, he says with a shrug. I like to see everything, but I think that's another word for a mess. I laugh. I can help you organize this. A few clear bins, some baskets, and you could still see it. He grabs a plastic bag from near the sewing machine and hands it to me. I open it and find bands of fabric. Some are narrow and some are wide. Some are velvet, some floral cotton. One is even textured blue burlap with a silk white rose. I immediately think of Daisy when I see it. Hat bands, I say. You made us hat bands? I don't need a new outfit right now, he says, and my hands like to stay busy. You don't have to keep them or use them. Some are headbands, like what Precious was wearing. Is it creepy? I wasn't trying to be creepy. I laugh. It's wonderful, Rhodes. You're doing what the pastor said, finding ways to build the kingdom, to uphold your community with your skills. He shrugs that off. It's hat bands. Let's not read too much into this. I'm not sure why he resists the idea that he's talented, or maybe he resists that God has something to do with it. Do I do that? I haven't felt much from God lately. Lacey and Heath have been experiencing some kind of spiritual renewal, sparked by a painting Heath created, which I admit is an emotional, spiritual powerhouse of a painting, but I haven't felt much of my own. Not that I'm far from God. I read my Bible and pray, but it's a little stale. I feel like everything in my life is on hold, even spiritual growth, until I can get ahead in my plans. Since I prayed over those plans, maybe it means I'm okay. God is growing me by growing my business and getting me closer to my house and maybe a future family, which I hope to have after I'm settled. I look at Rhodes's stacks of fabric on the floor behind the sewing machine, thinking about bins and shelves, and then I think about what I'm seeing. You had fabric for these in your stash? I can't see you with a lot of use for floral fabric. He laughs. I bought some from the quilt shop, and I do have a little of everything. Mom doesn't sew as much now, arthritis, so she gave me her stash. Most of it I'll never find a use for. I think about this, and a strange thought comes to mind. You could teach sewing. It's a dying art. He shrugs, obviously not impressed with my idea. I'm not sure I'm a teacher. I bet you could do it, I say. I heard from Maddie, he says, in an offhand way that might not be offhand at all. She's not coming back. The shop is mine. I think it will keep me busy. Maddie did some teaching, I say. She taught some floral design classes in the evening a few times a year. Rhodes blinks at me with a look I cannot read. You turned down a position today that was made for you because your business takes time. I'm running a business now too, and I don't know a thing about keeping books or ordering supplies, or I don't know any of it. Why do you think you can say no to things outside your business, but I can't? He sounds genuinely upset. Not angry, just upset. You're worried, I say, about running nostalgia. He shakes his head. I'm not organized, as you just pointed out. What if her shop fails in weeks? I haven't heard this insecurity and vulnerability from him before. It's endearing, but I also worry for him. Owning a business takes effort and gumption, ambition. I'm not sure he can do it. I'd hate to see the shop fail too, especially since he makes the most beautiful floral arrangements. I can walk you through some of it, I say. Maddie is organized, and if you can keep doing what she was doing, you'll be fine. He seems to relax at that, and he invites me to stay for lunch. I do, again helping him in the kitchen. Rhodes relaxes me. He's beautiful, but also deeply humble, maybe too humble. Your friend is coming this week to pick up some flowers for the inn, he says as we're cleaning up. Lacey. You'll love Lacey, I say, then close my mouth. Not sure that's what I meant to say. Why does thinking the word love around Rhodes make me uncomfortable? She owns the inn, and her family is wealthy, but she doesn't have access to any of it. She's very down to earth. I feel a little intimidated creating arrangements for her business. I've not been to the inn, but I've heard the tea room is stunning. And something about a contest for the inn rooms? Yes. Lacey and Daisy are holding a contest to find the designs for the unfinished inn rooms. People or businesses pay to enter a design, and those that win will get some publicity. That was Heath's idea. He's very good at marketing and PR. He was a pro baseball player who got hurt and had to come home. Anyway, Lacey will love what you put together for her. I don't stay much longer. When I get ready to leave, Rhodes walks with me to the door. I wonder if he's going to kiss me again, and I'm disappointed when he doesn't. He looks conflicted, finally pulling me into the briefest hug and letting me go. Thank you, he says, for coming to visit. It's hard to be new. It gets quiet. You made something for my friends and me, and then you fed me lunch. You have no reason to thank me. I look around again, and another idea pops into my head. Rhodes, you could enter. I bet you could design an amazing inn room. It would be good for nostalgia if you won, and I bet you would get one of the rooms. Also, if you consider it, Lacey and Daisy will show you around the inn. Or if I have spare time in the next few days, I could show you around. I think you'll like the inn when you see it. You and it seem to have come from a similar era. He smiles at this, but I know he won't consider it. Rhodes is handsome, friendly, charming, and talented. However, he has no drive at all, and I don't know how a person can be like that. All that potential, and he's happy to run a small flower shop forever. Okay, that's harsh. We didn't talk about our futures. He's clearly lonely, and I don't know exactly what sent him here, but he's uncertain of his place in the world. Maybe I should withhold judgment until he's settled. Withholding judgment isn't something I do well. Chapter 7. Rhodes. Lunch with Aurora had been unsettling. I like this woman, but I don't understand her. She has the heart of an artist, but she worries too much about success. I can tell she's not impressed with me. Yes, she likes that I dress from a bygone era, and she likes my floral arrangements, but I'm not sure she could ever get past the rest of me. And yet being with her makes me happy. Being with me seems to make her happy. I try not to think about it. I've been poring over Maddie's notes and files, trying to learn how to run a business. I admit I'm angry at my aunt for leaving me without more training, which is silly, because she just plopped a flourishing business in my lap. I should be grateful. I think I make a better employee than business owner, but my only alternative to running this place is to sell it or close its doors. Neither option appeals. The bell over the door jingles, and I look up from the papers spread across the counter to see a lovely young woman entering the shop. Judging from the straw hat, complete with bright cornflowers, and the dress with matching flowers, my guess is I'm facing Lacey Monterosa. Welcome, I say, pushing the mess of pages aside and giving the woman my attention. I am more than happy for an excuse to interact with a person and not strings of numbers. Lacey Monterosa? She smiles and approaches. Yes, I'm a little early. Are my arrangements ready? I nod and step into the back, returning with a cardboard box of small vases and simple arrangements. I'm not sure what she'll think. She wanted wildflowers, but while exotics are easy to procure any time of year, wildflowers are not easy to find this time of year without paying a fortune. Instead, I've got some coneflowers, 2 exotics that look similar to her desired wildflowers, and some dried wild blue indigo seed pods. Each little glass vase only has 3 to 5 simple stems, and I tied each with a burlap bow in an earthy terracotta, rustic blue, or brown. Her face lights. I love these. Aurora was right. She said your arrangements put Maddie's to shame. And that's not to put down Maddie. She's very talented. I love the use of the dried pods. I have some of these on my property. I like to play around with feathers and seed pods and... She stops and blushes. I'm not an artist. I just play around. Playing around is the best, purest form of art, I say. I like Lacey Monterosa. Just see where the muses take you. She fishes in a tiny vintage handbag for a credit card, and I slowly ring up her purchase because the cash register and I haven't yet come to an understanding. But I manage it, with Lacey smiling knowingly as I struggle. Aurora mentioned a contest at your inn, I say. Why do I say this? I have no idea. The last thing I need to think about is a contest likely filled with professional decorators like Aurora. Which makes me wonder, is Aurora entering the contest? Lacey laughs. From your lips to God's ears. No, she isn't. Are you interested? I have a sheet in my car. We can always use more entrants. All of you will be mentioned in the paper, and everyone who enters will get a prize pack, including a weekend at the inn, and a tea package from the tea room. I don't think I have the talent, I admit, but the contest is a brilliant idea. That's all, Heath, she says, with the dreamy smile of a woman in love. Aurora has told me more about this woman, and all her friends, than I realized, and I feel comfortable with Lacey. Aurora tells me he's very good at marketing. And he was a pro ball player? Baseball, she says. Yes, he loves baseball. Now he and Daisy and I are working on the inn. Think again about entering. Aurora is very taken with your talent, and your arrangements are lovely. And I can already see you here in the shop, little changes you've made. It's very welcoming. I heard about the robbery and vandalism. I'm so sorry. Did Aurora tell you my family used to own this building? This looks like several buildings, but it's one building all the way to the end of the block. She didn't tell me that part, I admit, but we knew it was connected through the basements. The vandals were down there, and Aurora and I went on a little exploration through some of the basements. We didn't find any clues to who vandalized. Robbery and vandalism, Lacey says, shaking her head. I assume you heard about our murder? Seems crime is on the rise here in Coon Valley. I did hear, I say. Then I start to wonder about what I've heard. Did Aurora tell you what we discovered about your victim? Lacey's eyes widen, and she leans on the counter like we're exchanging secrets. Did I mention I like Lacey Monterosa? No, she says. Tell me, please? Max Castleton bought a boutonniere from Maddie, and a couple days before that, Ellen Jacobs, who I guess is the murder suspect, was in here looking for flowers too. Lacey's giant eyes get more giant, and I have to smile. Ellen was here for flowers? What did she buy? I never saw her with flowers. I do remember Max's boutonniere, although I didn't know where he'd gotten it. He always dressed very dapper. A little like you do, Mr. Dumont. Ellen wanted nicotiana, I say. It has a divine scent. Maddie didn't have any, of course. It's not a common request at a floral shop, but she offered to special order it. I don't have any notes that Ellen returned to make that order. Again with Lacey's wide eyes. Flowering tobacco. I grow some of that at the inn. I filled the gardens near the house with heirlooms and scented flowers. I didn't think about this until you called it by its proper name, but Max was killed with nicotine. And in Ellen's book, her murderess distills poison from flowers. The book doesn't name the flowers, but flowering tobacco contains a poison. Maddie didn't sell her any, though? No, I say. It seems it would be easier to buy nicotine at a vaping shop. I've heard that nicotine poisoning, accidental, is on the rise now that it's so easy to get at vaping shops. Lacey looks distressed, and I wish I hadn't put that look on her face. I don't remember any flowers missing from my garden, she says. At that point, they were still in bloom. A few people have suggested I might have reason to want Max Castleton gone, since he might have been searching for a treasure on my property. Wait, do you know this story? Some of it, I say, from Aurora, not idle gossipers. I admit I can be one of the worst idle gossipers, Lacey says. Daisy and I spend too much time gossiping over breakfast prep. Now we have Laurel in the mix, and in the name of catching her up with the changes in town, we gossip even more. Aurora mentioned Laurel, I say. She left and came back. She's part of your club. I love the premise of your club. Peace and beauty. Those are lacking in the world, aren't they? She gives me a look that says she'd love to jump on that statement, but instead she addresses my question. I need to be careful. I don't want to sound pitiful to Aurora's friends. I suspect I've already ruined things with her, although I'm not sure exactly where I went wrong. It isn't the clothing, which is often the problem, or the art, even that I participate in historically female hobbies. But something. Laurel left years ago, Lacey says, furious with us. We don't know exactly what happened. Her family was a mess, and we thought she found comfort with us. Anyway, she said a few terrible things and took off. Before she left, I told her she could always come back. I don't know why I said the words, because when I said them, I hoped she never would come back. She hurt my feelings, and I was a teenager. Anyway, she came back a few weeks ago and brought her daughter. No husband. She won't tell us much about her life between then and now, but little Abby is so cute I want to eat her up, and Laurel seems genuine about rebuilding bridges, so she's staying in one of the upstairs rooms and doing our cleaning. Together, we're painting some of the back rooms of the house, so we'll have more sitting and gathering areas. We have a whole wing we haven't started yet, and I hope one day to get to that. That sounds gracious of you, I say. I think about all the bullying and taunting I faced in my life, and know I would struggle to forgive. Of course, Laurel had been a friend. My bullies were never friends. I didn't remember being betrayed by a friend. Maybe that's because I rarely had friends, but that's not where my mind needs to go right now. Maybe, she says, it's a little mercenary because we need the help, and since we're offering her room and board, we're not paying her much. I don't know the end game, how she's going to start over here, or if she plans to move on, but for now it works. So she's kinder to you now? I ask. Lacey tilts her head, like she's suddenly seeing me in a new light. This lady sees too much. I understand her starting a club and what Aurora said about Lacey rescuing people. I don't need rescued. Yes, she's been nothing but kind. She apologized for herself, and now she's putting the flesh on those words. And are any of you nervous over there, after our murder? Especially if it has to do with a treasure? I mean, will people give up on a treasure? Sometimes it's spooky at the inn at night, she says. Laurel is fearless, so sometimes she holds down the fort alone when we have guests. Sometimes Daisy or I stay too. We think Ellen Jacobs is responsible, although I'm not sure about that. She poisoned the man just like she did in her books. Isn't that unwise? But we also have a couple other names now that we have the letters. Letters, I say. I don't know all of this part. Max was at the inn to search for a little wooden box his sister left behind. We found that. Max had found and hidden it, and Heath and I discovered and opened it. It contained a ring, one that turned out to be valuable, and a few letters written by a woman named Heidi St. John. Heidi asked Kathleen Castleton about a friend named Alex and if anyone had found the treasure. Then in one letter she called it Jacob's treasure, Jacob was my grandfather. I don't know much about him. I knew him, but we weren't close, and I never saw either of my grandparents after I was 7. Anyway, I never heard about my grandfather having a treasure. The family was crazy wealthy, so maybe that treasure came to light years ago. So is this Heidi woman a suspect? I ask. Heidi is dead. Heath tracked down her family and discovered she died not long ago. She seems to have been happily married and had a son. No red flags there. They weren't wealthy, so I assume Heidi asked about the treasure, but never had it. She wrote Kathleen after she was fired from the mansion. We don't know why she was fired. However, we also looked up the Alex she mentioned. This same Alex wrote to Kathleen after Kathleen left the Monte Rosa mansion. They seemed to be friends. He mentioned having an affair with Felicity, my great-grandmother, and how she was obsessed with finding Martin's treasure. Martin, it seems, was my great-grandfather's brother. We have almost no information on Martin except he died young, in his late 40s. No family we could find. I laugh. This is fascinating. Wait, if Alex and Felicity, are we talking 2 different generations? More or less. Felicity was Jacob's mother. Alex and Jacob and Heidi and Kathleen are all the same generation. However, Felicity was a young bride and a young mother. But yes, Felicity was robbing the cradle with Alex. Did you look into this Alex character? Heath did a little digging, she says. He's an insurance agent, and when he's bored in the office, he fires up his internet searching skills. Alex doesn't set off immediate red flags either. He has a daughter who seems to have a life of her own. He isn't rich. He's now quite old, and it's our understanding he's not mentally all there. Heath talked to someone in the family who says he needs live-in care. So if Heidi is dead and Alex is senile, do you have other suspects? I ask. No, Lacey says, except both Heidi and Alex have family. Spouses, children, siblings. We don't know if Max got the story of the treasure circulating again, or if he learned it from elsewhere, but maybe someone out there thought they should have part of a treasure. And Max Castleton was a threat, I ask, because he was close and might find it first? Hard to say, Lacey says, and Ellen seems to have no relation to any of these people. It's a fascinating mystery until you find a man lying dead in the blue room of your newly opened inn. Murder mysteries make better stories than real life. I can see the truth of that. Ah, I say, I should let you go with your flowers. Thank you for talking to me. Part of it is curiosity, she admits. Aurora is smitten, and it's not easy to turn her head. Not right now. I raise my eyebrows, hoping she'll explain that cryptic sentence. She doesn't, so I ask a question, hoping, I admit, to pry and get a few answers to the conundrum that is Aurora Hart. Aurora dresses like she belongs to your club, I say, and she has a heart of gold because she changed a whole day to help me. But she's also very no-nonsense, isn't she? I haven't figured her out. There was an opportunity at her church, the need for someone to remodel part of her grandmother's nursing home. It seemed right up her alley, but she didn't even consider it. That doesn't fit with what I've seen of her. Lacey cringes, and I know I've stepped over the line. Then her face softens, and she leans close. Aurora is in a time of transition. I should leave it at that. But you saw the disconnect, so maybe wait until she shows you more of herself before making judgments. And that's probably all the meddling I should do. Also, consider the contest. You impressed Aurora. More than that, you made her open her eyes and look around. That speaks of immense talent. With that, she's gone. I suspect I'll spend the rest of the day thinking about this conversation. Murder, treasures, inns and poison flowers, forbidden affairs and a rich family with a fair number of skeletons in its closet. And most importantly, Aurora Hart. She runs hot and cold on me, might be harboring secrets, and her friend not so subtly told me to dig deeper. She thinks I'll be good for her ambitious, no-nonsense friend. I wonder why that might be. Chapter 8. Aurora. "Hello," I call, surprised to enter the unlocked flower shop and not see Rhodes. That means he's in the back, working his magic on a flower arrangement. The man has a gift. I look around while I wait, seeing little changes he's made. He added strings of fairy lights against the brick wall on one side, brightening the shop. He's also got a small coffee pot and some foam cups against the other wall, up high enough that little hands can't get into it. Along with the coffee maker, he set a pitcher of ice water with lemon floating in it. The man has a gift of hospitality, I realize. I should have seen that before, with the easy way he invited me for a meal and how little he worried over it. Even his loft, while a little disorganized, has soft furniture set up in such a way that it invites comfortable conversation and relaxation. And yet I suspect Rhodes spends most of his time alone. Has it been that way from the beginning, when his mother kept him close, maybe for his protection? Or was he more outgoing later in his life and has yet to find his feet here? I don't hear any sound from the back, so I venture behind the curtain to find the workspace empty. A mug of tea is on the largest table, but I can't tell if it was set here this morning or last night. Since the shop is unlocked, I assume he's been down here this morning. I assume he's gone upstairs for some reason, and I wait another minute before boldly opening the door to the stairs. I climb up and knock on his door, which is hanging slightly open. Nothing. I step into his space, not sure what I expect to find. What if he's changing clothes? Or if he steps out of the shower? Except I call his name, and he isn't answering. Also, who opens his shop and leaves it unlocked to take a quick shower? I walk into his main space and freeze, because he's on the floor on his face. I'm reminded of Lacey's description of Max Castleton, who was found face down on his bed. However, I also remember her saying the room felt strange, lacking the energy of human life. I tell myself I can feel the energy of Rhodes's life as I kneel at his side. He's breathing. I put my hand on his back and feel a steady heartbeat. I see a bruise around one eye that darkens his beautiful cheekbone, but he's not bleeding that I can see. "Rhodes," I say, gently rubbing his back. "Rhodes, can you hear me? Rhodes?" He groans, and those long, dark eyelashes rise to expose confused eyes. I can tell when he remembers something, because he stiffens and takes in a huff of air. "It's okay," I say. "Nobody's here to hurt you. I'm here. You're going to be okay. What hurts?" His eyes shift to look around, but he doesn't move his head. He doesn't move anything for several seconds, after which he slowly rolls to one side with a hiss. "Ribs," he says. He clears his throat. I note he's dressed, his shirt torn near the neck and a button ripped off. I can now see most of his front, and I'm relieved again not to see blood. "Someone was here?" I ask. "Yes," he says. He glances toward the wall, and I realize there's a narrow door against the far wall, and it's slightly ajar. It leads to the next attic. Are the tops of all these buildings connected like the basements? Didn't come up from downstairs. I came up for my glasses and startled him. "You wear glasses?" I ask. "Because of everything going on here, isn't that the most important question?" He gives me a faint smile, apparently realizing how ridiculous the question sounds. "Magnifiers. Good for detail work. I like to do a little etching on vases." Of course he does. The man has multiple talents. So he'd come up here and startled someone who'd broken in from another building. I want to go explore, but of course Rhodes needs my help. "Can you sit up?" I ask. He doesn't attempt to move, nor does he answer, and I pull out my phone. I think we need a little help. His loft looks like it had when I left, so I don't think anyone was rooting around looking for something, nor was any damage done. I do poke my head through the low, narrow door that leads to the next attic, but it's unfinished, seems mostly empty, and is bathed in shadows. I turn back to Rhodes, who simply watches me. Sorry, I say. Curiosity. Lacey says her family owned this building, he says. You think someone expects the treasure to be here? This question surprises me. Maybe. We don't have a lot of robbery or vandalism in town, or assault. Oh, your face must hurt. He gives one tight nod. His eye is getting darker and more swollen as I watch. I wonder if something is broken, he says. He reaches up to touch his cheek, and then stops and drops his hand. He's still lying flat on the floor near his sofa. I'll come to the hospital, I say. I can't ride along, but I'll come. We need a safe place for you to stay and recover. I'll take care of it, he says. I can take care of things. The words surprise me. Did someone indicate you couldn't? Of course you can. But I happen to know someone who owns an inn, and I know they aren't using the blue room right now. He gives me a lopsided smile, because the swelling extends to his dimple. The murder room? Well, I say, yes, I'm sure we can find another place. It's fine, he says. Whoever was here won't come back. I'm fine here. No, I say, remembering Heath after being stabbed and thinking about Lacey describing a dead man. No, you can't stay here. I can't stay in the assault room, but I'm okay in the murder room, Rhodes asks. He's in pain and still hasn't moved, but he's teasing me. That has to mean something good. Surely a man about to die from broken ribs or punctured lungs doesn't tease, right? The ambulance service in Coon Valley doesn't stay very busy, nor does the police force. So within minutes, people from both services are filling Rhodes's little loft. He's gone silent on me, maybe pain, so I'm doing most of the talking for him. When the paramedics look him over, he groans against pain in his ribs, his face pale, nearly green. He gives the police permission to talk to me after he's taken away, and I promise to get to the hospital as soon as possible. He insists he'll be fine and doesn't need help, which seems strange to me. He accepted my help for less last week, but maybe pain makes him surly. It makes me surly. The police seem more thorough this time than last time, and they take forever. I feel the need to stick around and protect his shop. Although I trust the police, I'm not sure I'm making sense to myself. John, the officer who caught the man who attacked Heath a few weeks ago, peers through the open door to the next attic, and then he stoops to walk through. I hear his footsteps, and then I hear nothing. While he's gone, I absently straighten the sewing table. The man is in desperate need of storage bins. John returns and grins. All the doors were open, he says. I think someone entered from the stairwell at the far end. I never realized there's a fire escape on that side. 2 of the attics are built into lofts, but it looks like this is the only inhabited one at the moment. He only moved in a couple weeks ago, I say. I think the basements are attached too. We walked some of it, but it felt like breaking and entering. You know, the footprints we saw only went one way. Someone entered the basement through nostalgia, but didn't come back that way. He nods and walks the room one more time, and then we head downstairs. He asks if he can go to the basement, and I give him permission. Again, he's gone a while. There's a door at the far end that's jammed, he says, when he returns. It looks like someone opened it and then slammed it closed, maybe locked it from the other side. I thought this was just a robbery vandalism, but I don't think so now. Should Rhodes find another place to stay? He can stay at the Straw Hats Inn. John shrugs. Not sure that's any safer. Any reason to think this is related to that? I don't want to admit this, but I do. The Monterosas used to own this building, I say. I don't know who owns it now or when it changed hands. So this might be related to that. I'm not sure it's a good idea for anyone to stay at either place, but I'd feel safer with him there where there are people, at least until he can go back to work. I wish the ladies would let Heath stay. Maybe it's sexist, but I'd feel better with an ex-ballplayer staying on site. John doesn't stay long, and I text Lacey about Rhodes staying at the inn. Before she responds, I get into my car and head to the hospital, not sure Rhodes will see me. I thought we were getting along. I enjoy being with him, and I think he enjoys me too, but today he was giving me strange signals. Of course, his face is battered, and his ribs might be broken. Why do I expect rational reactions in light of that? He must have been scared. I hope he heals quickly and can get back to work. I think he loves what he does, and pursuing passions can be healing. I think about that phrase. I believe it, but Lacey is the one who said it. She's been saying it since high school, when she and her friends took me in. My parents made a huge mess of our lives, and people were talking, but Lacey and Daisy simply told me I was beautiful and let me help them decorate their rooms, and life got better. They still pursue their passions. Me, it's on hold. I know it's best, but I can't wait until this season is over and I can get to the fun parts. Our hospital, like our whole town, is small and informal, and I am ushered back to Rhodes's room. They've admitted him until tomorrow, maybe because he has no family and the police are calling his loft unsafe. When he sees me, he smiles. I guess he's not feeling as surly now. "How are you doing?" I ask. "I've never been in the hospital before," he admits. He's smiling at me, but he also looks nervous. "It's very bright and daunting in here, isn't it? Are you sure I have to stay overnight? It's only morning now." "If I find a place for you to stay and you pass your CT scan, they might let you go," I say. "I'll work on it. I went to school with one of the doctors who works here, and I helped redecorate the waiting area." This gets another smile, a bigger smile, which elicits a hiss. Rhodes's beautiful face is swollen and nearly black around one eye. It hurts to look at him. My phone beeps, Daisy answering that of course Rhodes is welcome. I grin, because I texted Lacey. That pair has the best friendship. Not that they shut the rest of us out, but I've been too busy to connect, and I don't even want to think about Precious. "You've got your place to stay," I tell him. I texted Lacey, but I got my reply from Daisy, so I know they're in agreement. Not that I'm surprised. That pair has been together since elementary school. "How did you end up in their club?" he asks. I sigh, not sure I want to answer that question. My dad tends to fall for schemes, get-rich-quick schemes. He's a smart man, really, but he always has his head in the clouds. He fell for one when I was in high school, and we lost our house. We moved to this little shack of a rental outside of town. It was fine, really, but kids are kids, and I was teased about my gullible dad. Lacey and Daisy were starting their club, and they invited me. I barely knew them. At that point, Lacey had lost her dad, and her mother and grandmother were having a public war, and Daisy's dad had lost his job, so they were struggling. We all struggled together. "All of you were struggling?" he asks. "Everyone in the club?" "Yes," I say. "We weren't the popular girls. Well, Sophie was, but she had her own issues. Laurel almost found herself in jail. Most of us turned out fine. Sophie works in Chicago. She has a corner office in a high-rise building overlooking the lake. But we always knew she would go far." Chapter 9. Rhodes. For 3 hours, I endure tests and scans. The building is stark and white and bright, and yet it isn't friendly. Yes, the people are friendly, but everything here is organized and no nonsense and cold. I am desperate to get out of here. Aurora stays with me. That's good, of course. At the same time, I'm reminded of my mother, who hovered. My mom loves me, but sometimes I blame her for who I turned out to be. Right now, I'd like to be strong, but Aurora is taking care of me, some sort of shield between me and this place. I don't know if any of that makes sense. My face is in agony. Blinking and smiling hurt, and all of that pales compared to my ribs. Finally, the results are compiled, and a doctor tells me I have 2 broken ribs and a broken nose. No concussion, no internal injuries, no need for surgery, unless I want my nose perfected. I guess it will be a little crooked after this. In all the swelling, I don't know how they know that. I don't mind a crooked nose. Might give me a little character. So can he go? Aurora asks, still taking care of me. I found him a safe place. As long as he's not going home yet, I'm happy with that, the doctor says. I'm a little woozy with pain medicine, but I feel I should be allowed to participate in this conversation. Unfortunately, I don't know what to say. Aurora sends another text or two, and she and a nurse settle me in a wheelchair and then into Aurora's car. She drives me to the edge of the county and pulls right up to the porch of a beautiful mansion. For a long minute, I stare. This place is enormous. 4 stories high, wide and stately, all in stone. I bet on rainy days it looks haunted. The landscaping across the front is young but colorful, even here in the fall. From what I know of Aurora's friends, that's all Lacey. Lacey and another woman, probably Daisy, are on the front porch waiting, sitting in rocking chairs. They rise and open the car door to help me out. Rhodes? Aurora asks. It's even better inside. I nod, realizing I'm staring and not moving. I don't like how the pain medicine makes me feel. I let the ladies ease me out of the car. It galls me that these 3 women are treating me like a little boy, but I know I'm not in any condition to do this myself. I hope I wake up tomorrow feeling better, although I was warned tomorrow might be worse. How could it be worse? They take me inside, and I stare again. I'm standing in a grand foyer with a long, curving stairway worthy of an old Civil War movie. 2 panel doors are closed on one side, and a sitting room is open on the other, a bright room filled with wooden furniture. They steer me in there and settle me on the sofa. I'll head back, Lacey says. You and Aurora have this? Of course, Daisy says. She looks me up and down and gives me a sad smile. Lacey and Aurora both told me you were a beautiful man. I trust their judgment, but right now I look at you and ache. How can we help you, Rhodes Dumont? Do you need to head straight to bed? Would you like a snack or lunch or tea? Coffee? I don't answer. I'm feeling overwhelmed and drugged and resentful that people have to take care of me. I thought I was past that, both the care and the resentment. Apparently, I was wrong on both counts. Let's get him upstairs, Aurora says, appearing in the doorway. This room is filled with antiques, but someone has swapped out the original fabric on most of them, upholstering in bright floral fabrics. It seems to fit the Straw Hats ladies. He has to be exhausted. Maybe water and a snack for when he wakes up? I hate that she's taking charge, but my head is cottony and confused, so I wouldn't do any better myself. They each take an arm and pull me off the blue and lilac sofa, walking me to the stairway. I'm not sure I can do this, but I have to try. Fortunately, it doesn't hurt like I expect, no more than simply standing upright, and soon I'm sitting on a bed with a yellow floral comforter. This room has buttery yellow walls and lots of texture, from a tapestry on the wall to a jar of colorful pebbles to a framed display of large feathers. Hawks? Owls? I thought he would be in the blue room, Aurora says. Without looking at me, she drops down and unties my shoes. I try to pull away, embarrassed, but I'm too clumsy to do it well, and she ignores my attempt. Daisy laughs. She's quite fetching, with dark hair and a yellow dress, topped off with a straw hat with one of my hat bands on it. I'm not sure why that surprises me. She notices me looking, and she touches the band. Thank you, she says. They're lovely. And yes, you were going to be in the blue room. But Laurel moved her things in when she heard what happened. She said a man shouldn't be attacked in his home and then moved to a murder room. Will she be nervous in there? I ask. Daisy laughs. We wish more things frightened Laurel, to be honest. No, a murder doesn't scare her. Anyway, nobody died in any of our guest rooms. Nor do we have ghosts. Many people are disappointed by that part. I don't know why so many people want to believe in ghosts. So it's better that a man died in your attic? Aurora asks. She's laughing. Apparently, Daisy says. People baffle me. I'll get water and snacks. Aurora, you'll make him comfortable? Again, I'm not given the chance to say a word, and Aurora removes my shoes and then sits beside me on the bed. It's very pretty, I say. I helped to paint it, she says. All of us painted something. Did you help decorate, since you're an interior designer? They asked for my help, and I did what I could, but I've been busy building my business. Being an entrepreneur is harder than I expected. So, how are you doing, Rhodes Dumont? I'll be fine, I say. Aurora frowns and leans away from me. Why do you do that? She asks. You let me help after the robbery, but you sure don't want me here now. What did I do? I don't want to answer this question, but I do. Maybe the medicine loosens tongues. It was just my mother and me. She hovered. I guess I don't like to revisit little boy days. She laughs. You are one of the handsomest men I know. Trust me, when I untie your shoes, I am not thinking of you as a little boy. I'm not sure what to say to that. She helps me slide out of my jacket and vest, not easy with broken ribs, and I scoot back toward the head of the bed. I'm ready for a nap. Maybe I'm just ready to be alone. I made it awkward, didn't I? She asks. I think I did that, I say. I'm sorry. I'm grateful for the help and the place to stay. But you're also a guy, she says, and you want to do things yourself. I get it. Trust me, we ladies can be the same way. I'm going to leave and let you rest. You have my number, but Lacey and Daisy will take good care of you. I didn't think to get anything from your loft. Do you want me to pick up clothes? No, I say, surprised how much the words scare me. No, don't go alone. Not yet. Please. She nods. I promise. What do you remember? I wasn't with you when the police talked to you. Can you share? Was it terrible? Again, I wish I didn't have to answer this, but I like being honest with Aurora. I'm touched that she so easily gave up another day for me. I realize my hang-ups don't have anything to do with her, and I need not to run hot and cold here. Mom used to do that, and it drove me crazy. I walked through the front door and spotted movement on the other side of the room. I don't remember a face or even a form, although I think it was a man. I remember this wash of fear, and then you were there. I don't remember anything in the middle. She moves closer and touches my face, avoiding the bruises. I think that's good. I think some things we don't need to remember. It would help if I could remember a face, I say. They tell me short-term memory loss is normal for a head injury, but it doesn't feel normal. It's unsettling. She doesn't stay long, and I lie back on the bed. I don't hear Daisy come back because almost instantly I'm asleep. Chapter 10. Rhodes. Daisy and Lacey are very hospitable. I wake up to find a small pitcher of water, a plastic cup, and a tray of snacks on the night table beside the bed. The shades are pulled low, and my jacket and vest are hanging on a hook near the door. I hear nothing outside this room. I feel better. Physically, I'm sore and might need more pain medicine soon, but I don't feel as angry and scared and unsettled. The tray of food makes me smile and not feel smothered. I probably need to apologize to Aurora for the way I behaved, but maybe she understands. After eating some nuts, crackers, and cheese, I slide out of bed. The bathroom is as fancy and inviting as the rest of the room, and I feel the need to explore a little. Maybe moving will ease some of the pain. I can't bend to put on my shoes without my face exploding, so I head out of the room in my stocking feet, looking both ways down the hall. Aurora told me this floor has 2 finished rooms and 3 unfinished. I turn the handle on the room beside mine, which is open, and I step into one of the unfinished rooms. It's dusty, the window hazy with grime, and it's empty. Instantly, I see 100 variations on this room, using its high ceiling and wide, tall window. It has a new-looking door on one side, and I open that to discover what will be a small bathroom. It's plumbed and ready, but it has no fixtures yet. I assume they found it most efficient to have all the plumbing done at once. It's a smaller bathroom than in my room and will have a shower and no tub. Mr. Dumont? The voice is suspicious and unhappy, and I turn to find Lacey standing in the open doorway, half in the hall and half in the room. "Lacey," I say, "you startled me." "You're well enough to wander?" she asks. I realize she doesn't trust me. She thinks I might be roaming up here to do damage. For some reason, I don't mind this. When was the last time anyone looked at Rhodes Dumont and thought him dangerous? Effeminate? Yes. Someone to be bullied? Absolutely. Mama's boy? Yes. I heard that more than once and wished it was less true. But a man who might be a robber or vandal or killer? I should be so offended. But instead, I stand up straighter. I'm sorry. I'm curious about old houses. I can imagine so many possibilities in here. She tilts her head. I think she's weighing me on a scale. A guy interested in old houses? A man here to hurt her family? She's not sure. I'm still struggling to be offended. You really ought to enter the contest, she says. There's another week before we end it. I want Aurora to enter too. Or maybe you two could enter together. Have you seen the other rooms on this floor? No, I say. Thank you for the snacks and the water. You and Daisy are very good at hospitality. She smiles at this. It comes more naturally to Daisy than me. And Aurora, it's natural to her too. Would you like to see the other rooms? I can show you the upstairs rooms, but I'm not sure about your ribs. I place my hand over them. Maybe just this floor for now. This elicits a smile, and she shows me a room across the hall. It has a larger bathroom, also missing its fixtures. This room has 2 narrow, tall windows and a strange bump out between them. What is this for? I ask. It's like someone built in a table here between the windows. I don't know, she admits. 3 of the rooms have double windows like this, with this little table built between them. So, do you envision things for this room, too? I do, more than the last room. Suddenly, I'm tempted to enter her contest. I assume the contest entries are businesses, professionals? She smiles. I suspect, Mr. Dumont, you could hold your own with any of them. What do you see here? I quickly give her 3 different themes, describing the room in the most general terms, and she grins at me. Yes, you could do this. We have entries from businesses, including some very prestigious interior design companies from Hollow Fork down the mountain. Some of them are, to be honest, rather stuffy. This place doesn't want to be stuffy, I say. I saw that from the sitting room. You reupholstered it all in bright colors. She laughs. Half of that was Aurora's idea. That room is filled with the family heirlooms. Talk about stuffy. Precious had to work hard to keep me from throwing it all away. They made it inviting, don't you think? They did, I say. They set the tone for the whole inn. Interesting you should say that, she says. We followed their lead in the tea room, which is some mix of old and stuffy and new and colorful. I've already mentioned that I like Lacey Monterosa, right? Mr. Dumont, she says, it's almost time for our late afternoon tea. Do you feel up to joining us? Guests get free passes to tea. I'm not exactly a guest, I say. Ah, she says, that's not true. You're exactly a guest. If you're feeling up to it, I formally invite you down for tea. I look at my feet. Can someone help me with my shoes? I can't lean forward. She laughs. You head back to your room and do what you need to do. What you can do. I'll send help. The sitting is in 30 minutes. I do as told, thinking about colors and space and furniture and Aurora's colorful touches in the sitting room. I wonder just how many layers Aurora has, and if all of them are true. What drives her? She worries about her business, and if her parents lost their money once, that makes sense. But what does that kind of drive really mean? And what might she think of me, a man who fell into a business and doesn't have the skill to keep it up? Yes, I know I'm going to fail. I love the flowers, but the paperwork and the vendors and the inventory? I'm not an accountant, and I'm sure I'm going to lose the shop. Aurora won't want to be allied with a man who can't keep a little flower shop open. I carefully get one arm into my vest and can't get the other one in, and I have no idea how to put on my shoes. I sit on the bed and wonder what else can go wrong today. In a few minutes, someone turns the knob and opens my door, not even knocking. This surprises me until a tiny head pokes through the doorway, and a little girl no more than 3 grins at me. Oh, the mischief in that grin screams for a response, and I smile back at her, which makes her giggle and come inside. She looks back, possibly expecting to be scolded, but that fear doesn't slow her down. She walks to the bed and looks up at my face. "Your eye," she says. "Ouch." "Yes," I say, and since we're talking about it, it hurts more than it had. She pats her own eye and then looks at my feet. "My eye hurts," I say. "I can't lean down to put on my shoes." She sits down and unlaces her own shoes. She's got ringlets, currently wild knots over most of her head, and she's wearing a light peach dress with little blue sneakers and red socks. I wonder if she dressed herself. "Wait," I say. "You're probably not supposed to take those off." "I want my socks out like yours," she says in her little voice. I haven't known many children, but I think this one is especially adorable. "Abby," someone calls down the hall. I suspect this is her mother looking for her. "Abby, where are you?" "In here, Mama," she calls, pulling off her shoe. Her sock comes off with it, and I realize she has pink polish on tiny little toenails. "He can't put shoes. I can't put shoes too." I grin at that, and a woman's head pokes through the doorway. She looks at me and rolls her eyes. "Rhodes Dumont?" the woman asks. She's wearing one of the headbands I made. Then she's in torn jeans and an old t-shirt, pink with smudges of paint. She's beautiful, her chestnut hair piled messily on her head. And she's weary. Don't ask me how I know that, but I know that. "Laurel," I say, and yes, I'm Rhodes. She tilts her head. "They said you were handsome, even with the bruises. Leave it to Aurora to find a beautiful guy who dresses like a Regency novel. Some girls have all the luck. I understand you need a little help getting ready for tea. Personally, I think you should go down in your socks. Give some of the old ladies something to talk about." I try hard not to laugh, then wonder why I'm doing that, and laugh out loud. "Ah," I say, "you're the lady Daisy said needs to have a little more fear. I'd love help with my shoes. I'm not much for scandalizing old women." She laughs and points at her daughter. "Abby, put those back on. And have we talked about not entering guests' rooms?" The little imp simply smiles and begins to put her shoes back on. Laurel quickly gets both me and her daughter situated, and she steps back, her face softening. I suspect I'm seeing the real woman, the one under the snark. "Do you need help?" she asks me. "I might," I admit. "With walking down? Medication?" "Walking," I say. "Maybe. I never broke any bones before. It's painful." She smiles at that. I can imagine. "Abby, hold my shirt, okay? Don't you dare run ahead. The ladies don't need you racing through their tea time." Abby does as told, and Laurel gently helps me down the stairs and then down to the tea room, which is as lovely as the rest of the inn. And yes, the mix of old stuffiness and whimsical straw hat's color is everywhere. I settle in a chair and let out a sigh. "You're an odd duck, aren't you, Mr. Dumont?" Laurel asks. "So I've been told," I say. The question hurts, and I can tell she realizes that. She squats low and looks me in the eyes. "Mr. Dumont," she says, in much the tone Lacey uses, That wasn't an insult in any way. It might take Aurora time to figure out what she has here. I ask, as her friend, that you give her that time. Nobody needs a beautiful odd duck in her life more than poor Aurora Hart. With that, she bounces forward, kisses my cheek, grabs her daughter by the hand, and leaves the tea room. I suspect I'm not the only odd duck in the building. And I hope she's right. I see no reason not to give Aurora time, although I don't know what she needs it for. Maybe Laurel is telling me that I'm right, and what Aurora says she wants and who she is inside don't quite match up. I hope that's true. Chapter 11. Aurora. "How is he?" I ask as I enter the inn kitchen. I let myself in this morning, needing to see how Rhodes feels after a night of rest. The doctors told him more than once that he might hurt today more than yesterday. "He came to tea," Lacey says. She laughs. Daisy, who's piping cream into some pastries, joins her. He is one of the most charming men I've ever met. He let us sit him with some of our older ladies, and between his manners, his battered face, and his charm, he gained 4 grandmothers. It was refreshing, Daisy says. We don't get enough men at tea, and those we get are often older. And dragged here by their wives, Lacey says, many of them glare instead of charm. Laurel enters, and she smiles and hugs me. Little Abby is on her heels, and she hugs my legs. A few weeks ago, Abby wouldn't look at us, let alone hug us. And honestly, Laurel wasn't much better. "You're gentleman," Laurel says. She shakes her head. "Don't mess that up, Rora. He's wonderful." I nod. I do like him, but I have things to do. Starting a business takes work. Lacey and Daisy simply look at me because they have a business too. "Well," I say, "you have one another. I'm just me." Laurel rolls her eyes. "Still looking for that pie in the sky?" "No," I say. "I want to buy a house. Millions of people have that same goal." I'm not sure Rhodes has goals. He's content to stay where he is. And I don't know if he has the business sense to keep nostalgia open. I hope he does. I'm happy to talk him through the bookkeeping. Again, the women look at me, disapproval in their faces. I don't know why they disapprove. Daisy and Lacey hope to keep their business open. They hope to make money doing it. Why is it wrong when I do it? Anyway, Lacey says, Laurel took him breakfast, and yes, he's sore, but he isn't going to stay for long. He's worried about his shop. Do the police want him to stay out of the shop? Are the other businesses in the building closing? I don't think anyone is closing, Daisy says. The Java Jam was open this morning. I suppose I can take him to the shop, I say. Is he ready? They don't know, and Daisy stands back and gestures to her tray with a flourish. I like them, Lacey says. She turns to me. We're trying a few new items this week. We don't want our regulars to get bored. Are you going to mention the contest? Laurel asks Lacey. I have to smile at Laurel, who might look closer to her high school self than the rest of us. Daisy and Lacey are in dresses and hats. Laurel is in jeans and a t-shirt, but her hair is up in a headband. One of Rhodes's headbands, I think. She's also wearing colorful sneakers. Her daughter, on the other hand, is wearing a little dress. She dresses Abby like a doll, and the child is adorable. Right, Lacey says. Do you think you can convince him to enter the contest? He sees the inn exactly like I do. He wants to balance the old and the new, the stuffy and the whimsical. Please talk him into entering the contest. I'm not sure I can talk him into anything, I say. They simply look at me. He's in his room, Lacey says. He was wandering yesterday and looked at the empty rooms up there. Take him into one of them and hear what he has to say. I think he can help us. Daisy puts a mug of coffee in my hand and sends me upstairs, where I find Rhodes on his bed growling at his shoes. It's clear he's struggling to dress himself. He still only has the outfit he wore here yesterday. Let me help you, I say. He nods. His poor face is more bruised than yesterday. I'm not sure how that's even possible. Thank you, he says. I got to attend tea yesterday. You have very nice friends. Those nice friends are plotting about us, I say. Lacey wants you to enter the contest. Rhodes clears his throat. No, they want more than that. They want us to enter together. I admit I had ideas for the room across the hall. All the rooms, but the one across the hall with the tall, narrow windows intrigues me. When I have him put together, I usher him into the empty room, and Rhodes begins to share his vision with me. I admit, as he talks, I get excited, because I've considered similar ideas for this room. Also, Lacey was right, and he and I have similar tastes. Okay, I say as he winds down. Let's do it, Rhodes. Let's knock their socks off. It would be good for both nostalgia and my business. He sighs. I suppose it would be. Can it be fun, too? What? I ask. Of course it can be fun. If you don't want to do it, we don't have to. I do, he says. I want to do it. First, I want to go home. I called the police this morning, and they have no leads, but the building will have new locks added on the attic doors, and they can't legally keep me out unless they close the whole building, which they aren't willing to do. I know I won't change his mind, so I don't try. Truthfully, I doubt there's danger. It feels like someone was looking for something, and they won't look again in places already visited. We leave the room and nearly slam into Brody Newell, the handyman Lacey and Daisy use constantly. I'm not sure how the guy has time for any other job, since he comes at a moment's notice if they call. Okay, if Daisy calls. All of us think Brody is into Daisy, but she laughs if we mention it like it's ridiculous. Brody stops fast and puts his hand on the wall. Sorry, he mumbles, looking toward the end of the hall. Checking the plumbing in the extra rooms. Sorry. With that, he starts down the hall and slips into the empty room beside the yellow room. Have you met Brody? I ask Rhodes. The man shrugs. I assume that was him. I'm not sure being run over by a man in a hurry is quite like an introduction. I hope the plumbing check wasn't because of a leak, and he's rushing to save the floors in there. I smile, and we don't talk about it again, but usually Brody isn't in such a hurry, and the man is polite to a fault. But now that Rhodes has mentioned it, I'm worried about a leak too. I take Rhodes home and make sure he gets to his room. I can tell his ribs ache, and he's using very few facial expressions. Until now, I'd never thought about how expressive Rhodes's face is, and I miss that. I'm not sure what he's thinking. Are you scared? I ask as he settles on the sofa. No, he says. He looks around and raises his shoulders nearly to his ears. Maybe. This is my home. I'm an adult. I can't hide at your friend's inn. I sit at his side. Nobody considers it hiding. It's just using a little wisdom. So you think I'm foolish to be here? He asks. He sounds irritated. No, I say. I don't think they'll be back. They searched here. And honestly, if they wanted to come back, they'd have done it last night while you weren't here. And they wouldn't come back in here. This loft has been remodeled recently, and any treasure hidden here would have been found. Rhodes nods. He looks relieved. I suppose that's true. Treasure. Do you think this is really a treasure hunt? Does that make sense? I don't know, I say. Lacey's family, the Monterosas. Every small town has that rich family with a closet filled with skeletons. When she was 14, or 13, her dad died. Her mother and her paternal grandmother didn't get along, and after Mr. Monterosa died, they got public about that. Lacey's mom kept Lacey home to make sure she didn't get contacted by her grandmother. They had yelling matches at the grocery store, her grandmother screaming that her mother was cold and wasn't acting appropriately for widowhood. They ended up on the front page of the news more than once. Rhodes nods again. But treasure? I laugh. Yeah, it's out there, even for the Monterosas, I guess. But a man was murdered in their attic, and that had to be for some reason. We have enough clues from letters and witnesses to think Max Castleton's sister was aware of some infidelity between the older Monterosas, Lacey's great-grandparents, and to know that one of the maids was let go for unknown reasons. She would have been a contemporary to Lacey's grandfather Jacob, her paternal grandfather, so maybe this maid and Jacob had an affair, or maybe she was caught stealing. In the historical novels I read, those are the main reasons maids end up in scandals. She mentions the treasure in some letters to Kathleen. But nobody else seems to know, Rhodes says. This isn't part of the town mythos surrounding the Monterosas? No, I say. Heath has mentioned that too. Maybe the Monterosas were better at keeping secrets than we think. So, I have to go. Can I get you anything? The look Rhodes gives me isn't kind. Aurora, you don't have to do anything for me. Why is it so hard to ask for help? I ask. It's not, he says shortly. I'm fine. I can take it from here. I don't like the tension between us, have no idea what caused it, but also don't have the time to figure it out this morning. I have errands to run to get 2 parties ready for this weekend, both in Hollow Fork. I can call you about the entry, I ask. Put some ideas on paper. Lacey says we only have 8 days. I will, he says. Sure. Thank you, Aurora. I'm sorry. I think the pain medicine makes me cranky. The whole world is a little tilted at the moment. It's dizzying. I accept the excuse and head out. I hope he feels better when I come back. His question about this being fun bothers me. Does he think I'm not fun? Is he doing this just for his business? If he put his mind to it, I think he could create something beautiful, but I don't know if he plans to do that. I hope he isn't doing this out of a sense of duty or gratitude. I said it would be good for our businesses, and that's true, but the truth is I'd like to spend more time with Rhodes, even though we both have new businesses and other things on our plates. As Daisy likes to say, the heart wants what it wants. I have the feeling mine is leaning towards Rhodes Dumont. Chapter 12. Rhodes. I'm not sure about that fabric, Aurora says. I sigh, because we've agreed on nothing for nearly 2 hours. I'm tired, and my face hurts, and my ribs are in agony, and we're arguing over the texture of bed linens. We need to step back a minute, I say, and her eyes widen. She settles back in her chair, with her hands in her lap. You hurt, she says. Is that why this is so hard? I think this is so hard because Aurora is a control freak, but I don't say that. And in all truth, that might not be it. I feel like Aurora is at war with herself. I can't count the number of times she's used the word trend today, but I'm not sure she likes the current trends. She needs to let go and put her heart into this. Or perhaps I'm so far out of touch with trends, putting nothing but my heart in everything, that I'm the one at fault. Do you need more medicine? She asks. No, I say. Let's start over, Aurora. Lacey and Daisy are all about a mix, a balance, old and new, modern and classic. It's all over their tea room. We're trying to do the same, but it's not working for us. So let's find another theme. Aurora looks at the pages on my table. She brought stacks of magazine pages, paint chips, and fabric swatches, and it looks like a design company blew up in my living room. I think we have too many ideas in front of us and no strong focus. Okay, she says. Without thinking, I want you to grab the prettiest bedroom from that pile, I say, pointing to a stack she'd discarded to one side. Those are the ones we didn't like, she says. No, they're not trendy. This is an inn. They don't plan to redecorate every year as the trends change. Just grab what you like, and I'll do the same. I know which one I like, and I pull it from the bottom of the stack. It's got bold patterns of pastel colors and rich cherry furniture. I wouldn't want to copy it exactly, but it would make a great jumping-off point. Aurora pulls the stack in front of her and begins to leaf through it, slowly considering each page. That's not what I asked her to do, and in a fit of frustration, I grabbed the stack and tossed them across my living room. "Rhodes," she says, looking at me in shock. "You're sure this isn't pain?" I have to laugh at that. "Now, go grab the first one to catch your eye. Don't think about it, Aurora. Not one thought." She heads toward one that isn't so different from mine, and her hand hovers over it. Then she stops and shifts to the one at its side, one with this year's signature colors, which are dark and depressing. Aurora is not understanding this game at all. Why can't she trust her instincts? "Here," she says, handing me the page. "Now get the one you passed over," I say, pointing. She glares at me and does as asked. I lay all 3 pages on the table. Aurora pulls them closer. "These two share some traits. Patterns. You like big patterns, don't you?" "So do Lacey and Daisy," I say. "They're hoping to create rooms where their guests will be comfortable, but in the end, nobody will see those rooms as much as Daisy and Lacey. They'll have to change the linens and clean the floors and dust the knickknacks. Why not have them do it in a room that reflects them?" Aurora furrows her eyebrows. She has beautifully expressive eyes. I can't draw or paint realistic faces, and right now that's a shame. Aurora puts a lot of expression into her eyes. Unfortunately, what her eyes say doesn't always line up with what her mouth says. I think the eyes are the truth. "What about wall color?" she asks. "Both these have very different wall colors." She's angry and wants me to see that my chosen ideas are unworkable. I'm not going to play. "This one reminds me of dawn," I say, pointing to the one she chose. "And the one I chose is a little more neutral. It lets the furnishings bring the color. I can go either way. What if the theme of this room was morning or dawn, the pale beginnings of a day, filled with potential, but not quite there yet?" She smiles. "You're very poetic. Morning isn't a bad theme. It might give us direction when we look for paintings or wall decor." I feel like we're finally figuring this out. She just needs to let go of her incessant need to do things right. This is art. Right is hard to pin down because everyone has their own lens and their own definition. "I made a journal once that was all about morning," she says. "It was fun. I love photos of morning at beaches, the sun on the water, the pink glow of the early day. Sometimes fog. I've never lived anywhere that has thick fog. I've always wanted to visit the Pacific Northwest to see real fog." "Or England," I say. "Isn't it supposed to be foggy?" "Oh," she says, hand to her heart. "A trip to England. That would be divine. Have you traveled?" "No," I say. She nods. "You didn't grow up with much, did you?" "No," I say, "but Mom loves me. I had what I needed." She sighs. "My parents love me, but sometimes I felt like I didn't get what I needed. So we have a theme. It took us 2 hours. Now what?" "I'm not sure," I admit. "We need a bed. That's our centerpiece, right?" We move to the sofa with the laptop in Aurora's lap, and she scrolls through headboards and bed frames. Again, she pauses at unique pieces and then scrolls to the more mundane, never willing to take a risk. "Stop," I say as she hovers and passes by the 3rd beautiful headboard. "Go back to that one." She scrolls back up. "It's pretty, but it's so unique that it might never look good in another theme. What if they decide to change the room in a few years? This bed might become an albatross they can't use." "I think it's lovely," I say. "It's curved and organic. Lacey loves to bring the outdoors inside. This looks like it could be happy in a garden with fairies telling stories on its pillows." She laughs. The frame looks like it was made from curving willow branches, and I can see it in a dozen different settings. "Yes, I'm sure Daisy and Lacey will have a room decorated with fairies on the pillows and grass on the floor. It's pretty, Rhodes, but I don't know if it has wide enough appeal." I don't fight her, and we move on. 4 beds later, I'm running out of patience. Aurora, I say, we need to choose something. I'm trying, she says. You don't have a business bone in your body. This is a balance, Rhodes. Pretty, but also practical. Something that appeals to someone with an artistic eye, but also to someone without. The beds you chose have no romance, I say. She frowns. I have plenty of romance, she says. Just because I don't dress like a romance novel? Is that why you do it? Looking for romance? Is all this to attract the ladies? I'm not sure how we got here, because she couldn't be more wrong, and she's lashing out, meaning I've hurt her. She's made it clear she is too busy for romance, but maybe that's a lie. Possibly everything I know about Aurora Hart is a lie. I've had the thought before. But then, didn't her friend tell me to stick with her and figure her out? That would be easier if we didn't have a deadline. Maybe we should make 2, I say. You design a room, and I'll design a room. We'll let your friends choose. Her face falls. You mean that? No, I say. But we only have a few days, and I'm not sure how to move forward. She sighs. You're so talented, Rhodes. Maybe I envy that. It's hard to build a business, to give people what they want when they don't know what they want. I'm always balancing on a tightrope. I see beauty, and I want every room I design to look beautiful, but so many people can't see it. You see it. Down to your bones, you experience beauty. I'm not sure what she means, and this must show on my face. She gestures around us. This place smells divine. It's a little disorganized, but you've got textures and smells and sights in a beautiful balance. God has given you an amazing eye for it. I don't know if I believe that, I say. I'm not sure funny clothes and pretty flower arrangements do all that much for God's kingdom. What you do, yes, planning entertainment and making rooms that put people at ease. It's flowers, Aurora. I mean, they also look beautiful growing through cracks in the sidewalk. It's not hard to make flowers look good. Yes, it is, she says. She actually stomps her foot at me. Why can't you believe God gives gifts? I do, I say, but gifts like teaching and leading and generosity. And hospitality, she says. If you're going to limit yourself to the gifts listed specifically in the Bible, don't leave off hospitality. I sigh. Why am I fighting this? I've heard it before, but I've never quite been able to believe it. It takes more than a flower to be hospitable. It's more than flowers, she says. What other mediums do you like? I can paint, I say. Not great, but I do okay. I saw Heath's art at the inn. He's good. Oh my goodness, she says. I bet you're amazing. And you can cook. And you look nice. And you smile all the time. And that's hospitality. You have a gift for it. A gift for seeing beauty. And yet, you won't let any of my ideas stand, I say. Because people are ridiculous. For this, we have to produce what people want to see. Maybe it's impossible to make a living in art, in beauty. There's no future in beauty. Maybe let's not worry about that, I say. We don't have to win. They don't have to use our design. Let's just make a room that we love. She looks near tears. If this isn't about my business, I don't know if I have time for it. I've got a little inertia going. Hollow Fork has noticed me, and I could spend more time there. I should, in fact, if this isn't going to turn into a winning project. The next words out of my mouth are unkind and uncalled for, but I say them anyway. Let's see who's right. Is this about trends or heart? You design one room, and I'll design another. The theme is mourning. The look she gives me is furious. You might know flowers, but I know decorating. You'll see I know what I'm talking about. Fine, I say. We'll deliver them on the deadline. Fine, she says. With that, she collects all her pages, including the ones I tossed on my floor. If I was any kind of gentleman, I'd help her, but I can't easily bend forward because of my ribs, and already I'm feeling guilty for doing this, so I'm feeling stubborn and cranky. She leaves, and I put my face in my hands. I curse because that hurts, and I run my hand through my hair. Aurora Hart has talent. If she would let go, she would take the world by storm. But how can I let her see that? And the idea of having a gift for God, I admit the idea appeals, that something about me is touched by God, special, helpful, but I'm not sure how to put it into practice. Or, a dark part of me thinks, an insightful part I hate to listen to, if I have a gift, then I have no excuse not to use it, and people, even God's people, can be difficult and hurtful. She was right about that. People are ridiculous, and the artist they consider too effeminate who dresses in strange clothes, they're not going to accept my gifts because they've never quite accepted me. Chapter 13. Rhodes. Daisy and Lacey are exchanging a look. I'm not sure what it means, but it's making me nervous. I didn't expect to get so nervous. This project started as an angry dare, me pitting my beliefs about Aurora against her own, even though I never made that clear to her, but for the past few days, ideas have flown through my head, and I like the room I created. I want this pair to like it too. Aurora is standing at my side, and the inn owners are sitting at a wide desk in a tiny office off the tea room. Aurora shifts from one foot to another, maybe as nervous as I am. Remember when you decorated my room? Daisy asks Aurora. She looks at me. My dad was out of work. I wasn't a happy girl. Aurora came in and managed to turn my room into a fairy world. She spent almost nothing. We scoured thrift stores and used old things from Jane's house and Lacey's attic. That wasn't the inn attic, but she grew up in a big, rich house that belonged to her mother's family. It was great. I loved that room. Aurora sighs. That's your way of saying you don't love this. Daisy raises her shoulders and gives her head a small shake. It's not that. This is very good, Aurora. You know it is. You wouldn't turn in something that wasn't very good. But it's missing your spark. What do you mean? Aurora asks. I ache for her because she's truly upset and truly baffled. I know exactly what they mean. I've known Aurora for a couple weeks, and I know exactly what spark she hides. I saw it in her journals. Whimsical, unpredictable, and utterly charming. I mean, you didn't make this from the heart. Don't worry, Aurora. Very few of our entries are from the heart. They're meant to impress us, and they do, but they lack something. So does Rhodes's entry have heart? Aurora asks. She isn't asking it in a kind voice, and I actually cringe at the bitterness. Lacey laughs. Well, his has its own problems. His is all heart, but it's lacking a little practicality. Where did he find this bed, for instance, or that side table? We have images, but no way to reproduce this. I know I'm blushing. Right. How did I forget that part? I say. I didn't make it up from my head. Everything on that page is real and can be purchased. For how much? Lacey asks. From where? I put my face in my hands. Right. I forgot the budget, too. Nostalgia is doomed. I'm going to destroy my aunt's shop because I'm a flaky artist without a business bone in my body. Aurora called it. Why don't you two try again? Lacey asks. Aurora, what do you think of Rhodes's room? Aurora sighs. I love it. I hate that I love it, but I do. This is a gift. Do you believe that? God gifted Rhodes to see like this. I agree, Lacey says. Daisy nods her head. I am still blushing. A little of that is pride. More of it is shame. And some of it I have no idea. Just a general feeling that I wish I wasn't in this room right now. Brody pokes his head into the room, and I look at him. He's smiling, and he's a nice-looking guy. I notice his eyes glow at Daisy. I think Aurora is right about that spark. And yes, Daisy seems oblivious to it. Interesting. Hey, can I borrow one of you? Brody asks. He looks at Aurora and me and shakes his head. Then he comes into the room, hand extended, and shakes my hand. "I'm Brody Newell, the rude man who almost ran over you the other day. Apologies, and apologies for interrupting this meeting." He glances at the pages in front of Daisy, and he points at mine. "Wow," he says, "that's impressive. I can imagine choosing the winners will be rough. Is that what you're doing here today?" "Sort of," Daisy says. "What do you need?" An answer to a question about the blue room and that loose window frame. "I'll take this," Lacey says. "You three work something out. I feel like your mother saying this, but try to get along and get us a beautiful, workable room design. I almost guarantee that room is yours if you finish it." They leave, and Aurora rolls her eyes. I have to smile. "Can you play nice?" Daisy asks. I assume Aurora explained to her the trouble she and I were having, because I know I haven't mentioned it to a soul. "Rhodes, this is a gift. Maybe not a spiritual gift like Paul talked about in the Bible, but I have no doubt God has given you this talent. And maybe he made you a little scattered so people like Aurora can help you. Lacey and I love working together. Filling in another person's weakness is an amazing growth experience. Also, I selfishly want to see a room like this in our inn. It's like a fairyland." Aurora bursts out laughing, which makes Daisy raise her eyebrows. "What did I say?" she asks. "Exactly what I thought you wouldn't say," Aurora says. "Maybe nobody I know has any business sense." "Speaking of sense and how we don't have any," Daisy says, rising, "come see what Heath did in the carriage house. Rhodes, you've seen the carriage house?" "No," I say. "Oh," Daisy says, eyes wide as she takes my arm. "You might like this. Will he like this, Aurora?" She sighs again, rolls her eyes again, and says yes. I'm pretty sure she's hating that her friends like me and think I have talent. It must feel like betrayal. However, she's also laughing, so I'm not sure what she thinks. It turns out the carriage house is exactly that, a large, empty building behind the inn. A few chairs and a table have been placed in one corner. Several unlit candles are sitting on cement blocks in a rough circular shape in another corner. And a tapestry, maybe a bed sheet painted many colors, hangs in a third corner, creating a small enclosed area. "Heath did the sheet?" Aurora asks. "It's simply colors, abstract, but it's bright and cheerful, and doesn't fit at all with the dusty room." "He did. He said the drabness was driving him crazy. We were having fun playing with this room, Rhodes, but soon it will be too cold. We aren't sure what the purpose of this area will be. Our club is about rescuing people, and this building will play a role. God made that clear. But the details have been hazy." "Rescuing them from what?" I ask. "We're not sure," Daisy says. "Take Laurel, who needs a safe place while she starts over. We aren't sure our friend Precious isn't living in a box, or maybe in her car. If she would ever open up to us, maybe she needs a place to stay." "But," Aurora says, "maybe it's not meant to be a residence. It could be a place for celebrations or parties. Maybe it's a prayer room. We simply don't know." I look around the room, which has space for a little bit of everything they just mentioned. Suddenly, I can see it clearly, down to the furniture and the rugs on the wooden floor. I begin to describe some of my visions, and I realize the other two are staring at me. Worse, Brody and Lacey are in the doorway, also staring at me. "Well," Daisy says, "that sounds like a gift if ever I heard one. Keep going." Now I'm embarrassed, and I can't seem to get anything else out. Aurora squeezes my arm. "It's okay," she says. "There's no rush." "No," I say, "it's just ideas. I mean, I don't know anything about your club or what you need to do with this building." Daisy boldly walks into my space and smooths my vest. She's wearing a dark blue straw hat with 2 white silk roses and a pale blue dress with a wide lace collar, something she had to have found in a vintage clothing store. "Oh, Rhodes Dumont, I think you know very much what our club is about. Anyway, you're not getting off that easily. We're not doing much in here until it warms up and until God gives us a bright, glaring green light. I suspect some of that green will spill right out of your head." I say nothing. I'm still embarrassed and not sure what to make of this whole afternoon. "I think you broke him," Brody says. He's watching Daisy's hands, still on my vest, on my chest, and I can tell he wishes she would back off. What an interesting dynamic that pair has going on. Don't fight it, man. These ladies may act sweet and proper, but they tend to get what they want. Lacey laughs and slaps Brody on the shoulder. Don't make us sound like monsters. We head back inside, and I'm in a hurry to get out of there, not sure what to make of this afternoon. It makes me uncomfortable when people talk about me, and I've never known how to handle compliments. "Take these," Daisy says, handing the pages back to Aurora and me. "Both of them are lovely. Aurora, know that. Yours is one of the best we got, but it's not you at the core. I want you at the core. And Rhodes, help her make that happen. We'll give you 3 days of extension." 4, Aurora says. "I'm helping Laurel for the next 2 days, remember? I don't know about doing this with Abby in tow." 4 days, Daisy says. "Abby is a doll baby. You're going to have so much fun with her." "Okay, go. Make some magic." We leave, and I wonder what I've gotten myself into. I'm pretty sure I've been conscripted into the Straw Hats and Old Lace Club, and I think it may require more of me than I'm willing to give. Chapter 14. Aurora. "Miss Aurora?" Abby asks in her little voice, her tiny fingers clinging to mine. I want children someday, and spending the day with Abby is killing me. I wish I was ready for the future now. "What is it, Abby?" "Can I touch the flowers? Are they soft? Miss Lacey's flowers are soft." I grin at the little girl. Her mother, Laurel, never dresses like she's part of Straw Hats, but she dresses her daughter in adorable dresses and hats and buckled shoes, although she also has pink sneakers. Today she's wearing those sneakers with her blue dress, and she let Daisy braid tiny silk mums into her hair. All 3 of the ladies at the inn treat her like a doll. "These are special flowers," I say, because our first order of business this morning is to pick up 2 flower arrangements for a funeral tomorrow. It's my first time coordinating a funeral. The dead woman was 93, and her slew of children, grands, and great-grands consider this a party, so it's been more cheerful than I expected. We'll need to let Mr. Rhodes tell us what we can touch. She blinks at me with giant eyes. Abby is 3, and she's quiet. It bothers me how quiet she is. I don't know much about her and Laurel's life before they came home a few weeks ago. "Welcome," Rhodes says when the bell announces our arrival. He rounds the counter and squats in front of Abby. "Miss Abigail, it's so good to see you out on the town today." Abby simply grins. She has the most adorable, impish smile. "Hello. You were at our house. Your face is ouchy." Rhodes gently touches the bruises, which have barely begun to lighten. "Yes, it is. Aurora, I'm putting the finishing touches on those arrangements. You're welcome to come back while I finish." I follow him back, Abby still clinging to my hand. The back room is a mess, because Rhodes can design beautiful decor, but when he works, he hasn't the slightest sense of order or organization. "Sorry," he says, watching me look around. I laugh. "It's okay, as long as the front doesn't look like this, and you don't lose whole arrangements in here. It's fine." Abby lets go of me and walks straight to an oriental lily alone in a vase on the back table. I wonder if the smell or its size drew her. I can smell it from the doorway. "Can I?" she asks me. "Ask Mr. Rhodes," I say. She blinks, shrinking in on herself. The girl is painfully shy. "What do you need, Pumpkin?" Rhodes asks. He squats in front of her and winces. "Right. Ribs." "I'm Abby," she giggles. "Not a pumpkin." Rhodes takes her fingers and nips at them. You're right. You taste much more like a little girl named Abby than a pumpkin. Can I touch the flowers? Miss Lacey's flowers are soft. Rhodes smiles. This man has the most infectious smile. I'm dreading us working together, but I'm also looking forward to spending more time with that smile. I bet I can find you some even softer than Miss Lacey's. He sets her up at the back table with a few discarded flowers, and he and I move to the other table. I watch him tie 3 bows on each arrangement. Melissa Jones said nothing at her funeral was to be black, so her daughters asked for as many colors as possible. Rhodes didn't disappoint. Can we schedule our day? I ask. Do you think we can do this in one day? I have a lot of appointments this week, but I can take one full day. He shrugs. The shop has to be open, but we can work here. Sometimes I envy you this space, I say. My apartment is too small to be both an office and a home. You're always welcome to come settle back here, he says. There's something hopeful in his voice. I'm sorry, Aurora. We haven't done well, and I'm sorry. I have great respect for your talents and your business savvy. I might have to ask for help along the way, and I'd love to be able to ask you. This warms my heart. Thank you. Of course I'll help you. Lacey's good too, if I'm ever busy. I think we can knock it out in one day, he says. He clears his throat. Maybe we need some ground rules. This sounds like something I would say, and I'm intrigued. I'm listening. We keep it kind, he says. I think we understand each other better than we know. And that means we can, well, he sighs, we can hurt each other. That's childish, and I'm sorry. I've been childish. My mom hovered. I love her, Aurora, but I know I'm not manly, and I've been pestered as a mama's boy my whole life. Mom and her girlfriends doted on me a little more than they should. He looks at his hands. I say the dumbest things around you. I laugh and put my arms around him. I wanted to do it when he'd been hurt, but he'd been difficult. Right now, I'm not going to give him a choice. I think you're perfectly manly, I say. Gentlemanly. Sure, kids in school made fun, because not many guys learn to be gentlemen that early. Anyway, if it bothered you so much, why did you stick with your eccentricities? He grins, his dimples out in full. After a while, it was me. I don't know how I'd be someone else. I like the clothes, just not the bullies. I let go, and he steps back, looking a little embarrassed. I should finish this. Is it hard to work? I ask. You have to be sore. I'm sore, he says, but sitting around being sore was boring. Rhodes, I know you don't want to hear it, but you do have talent, and I do believe God gave it to you. That's not the sum of who you are, though. God gave you a bright smile and an optimistic outlook. I think he created us very specifically for what he wants us to do. He nods. I've been thinking about that. It's Psalm 139, right? Being made by God, known by God. I'm not sure why I fight that. Except, he rolls his eyes. And here comes another dumb thing. I feel some pressure, knowing I'm supposed to impress God with my talent. I laugh. Not impress him. He loves us when we're not impressive. He has to, because I think most of us spend less time being impressive than unimpressive. He just asks you to make the best of everything he's given you. Talents, resources, personality. He clears his throat. Can I say something that might hurt? Is this against the rules? I ask. I say it in a teasing voice, but I'm not sure I want to hear what he has to say. I hope not, he says. Last night I looked at verses in the Bible because Daisy and Lacey said the same thing. I didn't want to hear it, but God wants more from me. I was always the little boy. This is shameful, but Mom didn't demand enough from me. I was coddled. He rolls his eyes. Why am I admitting this? Anyway, God gave me this shop and these people who want me to amount to something. But you, I wait, and he shakes his head. Do you trust him? Maybe I don't. Not that he really wants anything from me, not that he gave me what I need to do what he wants. But you worry about provision. Your family didn't have much, but is it worth losing yourself to make sure your future is set? You don't know what it was like, I say. They made a mess of everything they touched. I hated being poor. He simply blinks at me. He was poor. He never said it in so many words, but I see it now. He was poor, maybe poorer than me. He didn't get two loving parents. Realizing this makes me angry. I do trust. Having a little business savvy doesn't mean I don't trust God. He puts up his hands. Then why aren't you helping at your grandmother's nursing home? That's got you written all over it. I think I actually growl at him. He's not saying anything new, but I've hit my limit of being able to hear it. Lacey and Daisy say the same thing. Daisy said it yesterday when she put my very well-thought-out room plan back in my hand and told me to try again. I huff and turn away, not sure what to do with this kind of anger, and then I freeze. Abby is no longer at the table, and the basement door is open, just wide enough for a tiny body to slip through and end up in the dark, spooky basement. Rhodes, I say, spinning back around. She went to the basement. Rhodes doesn't say a word, taking 4 steps to the door and swinging it open. He steps down 1 step, and then he turns around, grabs a flashlight from a drawer, and leads us down. You have a flashlight? I ask, amazed. Maddie said it was for blackouts. Do you have many blackouts here? No, I say. Maddie is organized, he says. We'll see how long it takes me to destroy that. He's moving quickly, flashing the light around in a dizzying motion while calling Abby's name. I wonder if fear from his attack is driving him. Aurora, he whispers, stopping so fast I run into him. The door to the next section is open, wide open. Abby couldn't do that. Someone has been down here again. Rhodes nearly runs into the next room. The good news is these basement areas are empty, so it's easy to see she's not here. It seems she must have followed the open doors. Within minutes, we're at one final door, one leading out of the building into a tunnel. Prohibition? Rhodes asks. Smuggling? Why did the Monteroses have a tunnel underground at the end of their building? The river is this way, I say. It could be smuggling. I guess that's no harder to believe than treasures. Now Rhodes slows down. The tunnel is damp and narrow, the ceiling low. He calls, and I wonder what would possess shy little Abby to head out here in the dark. She can't be here, I say. She wouldn't go into the dark. He stops and flashes the light in my face. So did we miss her in Nostalgia's basement? What if she goes back upstairs? She's all alone. What if she gets out the front door? It's too heavy, I say. I put my hand on his arm. Rhodes, I think she'll be okay. He clearly isn't convinced of this. He heads back, the light shining all over the place again. And then he stops and aims it at a shadow. There's a small fork in the tunnel. He gets closer, and it's not a fork, but an indentation in the tunnel that leads 3 steps back. At the back of the niche, 3 wooden boxes are stacked on one another. Rhodes opens the top box, and he lifts an old book. It's leather, maybe a journal, covered with fancy etching. It's beautiful, he says. He shakes his head. And it's not more important than Abby. I'm sorry. He turns and heads back, dropping the journal back into the box. I grab it and stuff it in my purse, slung over my shoulder, and I follow him back to Nostalgia. When we arrive, Abby is standing on a chair at the main table, untying one of the bows to Melissa's arrangements. It's very pretty, she says, turning to us like nothing has happened. Rhodes and I have lost 5 years of life, and Abby is fine. I didn't mean to break it. I wanted to know if it's soft. Rhodes laughs, grabs Abby off the chair, and presses her against him, twirling in a circle. Yes, it's most certainly soft, but not like a flower petal. Where did you go, Miss Abby? In the front, she says, pointing. I want to touch the flowers, but Miss Aurora says they're special. I didn't break any. Rhodes laughs and sits on the edge of the table, Abby in his lap. He looks pale, and he's breathing heavily. He was scared to death for her. Miss Aurora, how quickly do you need to leave? What do you have in mind, Mr. Rhodes? I ask. Miss Abby might need a little boutonniere. I think she should try her hand at floral arranging, don't you? And I might need to see her a few minutes to convince myself she's okay. Yes, I say, of course. We're not in a hurry today. For the next few minutes, I'm at the edge of tears. Rhodes pulls out several flowers, some greenery, and a huge stash of ribbons, and he and Abby put together a crazy little arrangement of mismatched colors and textures and sizes, with pink flowers and orange and blue ribbons, and then one of just about every kind of flower in the shop. It's too big to be a boutonniere, so he gives her a vase. I'm sure it's an expensive vase, just as I'm sure he's given her a collection of expensive flowers. The man is too soft to touch to run a business, and the fact that my mind goes there makes me feel like crying. When did I get so cold and selfish? Was I always like this? What do you think, Miss Aurora? Abby asks when they're finished. I think it's beautiful, I say. It's for Mommy, she says. Mommy can have flowers in our room, like Miss Lacey and Miss Daisy have in the tea room. Rhodes smiles at me. I've kept you ladies long enough, he says. Let me wrap that for Miss Abby and help you get yours to the car. Ever the gentleman, Rhodes gets us settled in the car, flowers all around us, so we can head to my next errand. I sure hope the rest of our errands aren't as emotional as the first. I'm not sure my heart can take any more ups and downs today. Chapter 15. Rhodes. I don't know what happened 2 days ago. Aurora and Abby came to pick up flowers, and that set off a chain of events that I can't stop thinking about. Obsessing over, actually. I can't go 5 minutes without thinking about what's happened since I moved here. Strangely, what hits the hardest is the God part. I would call myself a Christian. I know the right answers in Sunday school. Mom read the Bible to me every day of my young childhood, and she bullied me into reading it myself in my older years. To her, it holds the answers to everything. For me, it held the answers to spiritual questions, but I never let it be more. Life has its categories. Church is one. Work is another. Personal life makes a third. The new people in my life have no such distinctions. Everything in their lives entwines with everything else. It spills out, bubbles over, and can cause no end of trouble. And through it all, I realize I love it this way. This life is truer than any I've ever seen. Aurora, who is my personal life, traipses around in my business and my church life. Daisy speaks to me about spiritual gifts while I'm trying to win a contest for nostalgia. Today, I'm mixing worlds again, standing on Aurora's tiny stoop, knocking on her second-story door. It's windy this afternoon, and the little porch is creaking as I stand here. Aurora opens the door and blinks at me in surprise. Rhodes? You haven't been answering your phone. I was worried, I say. She doesn't look good. She's as beautiful as usual, but her eyes are red like she's been crying, and her hair is tied in a messy ponytail low on her head. She's also wearing flannel plaid pants and a big yellow sweatshirt with sleeves that cover her hands. She looks adorable. What are you doing here? She asks angrily. I had some slim hope she wasn't ducking me, but it seems I'm going to be disappointed. When you didn't answer the phone, I thought I'd come see when you wanted to work on the project. She nods. Right, the project. Come in. Aurora, I say, you don't have to let me in. What did I do? I know I went too far. You're fine. It's okay to have some ambition. If everyone was like me, nothing would ever get done. She shakes her head. her eyes glassy. It's not that. Come in. I want to show you something. We sit on her sofa, and she pulls out the leather book from the tunnels. She opens it, puts it in my hands, and then starts talking. This belonged to Felicity Monterosa, Lacey's great-grandmother. I think the woman was going crazy. She admits in this book that she's having an affair with a boy who's maybe 16 years old. She loves him, she says. She hates that Heidi betrayed him. We think Heidi was a maid, while Felicity was the matriarch of the mansion. Felicity is Jacob's mother. From what I can tell, Jacob and Heidi had a fling, only she used him hoping to get rich. Then Felicity's husband Levi, Jacob's father, paid off Heidi to leave. I guess Jacob went into a deep depression over that, because he thought Heidi loved him and would never take money to leave. I think this through. Lacey's parents are... Roger is her dad, she says, and he's a Monterosa. His parents are Jacob and Adelaide. I think, from what I'm seeing here, Levi, Jacob's dad, arranged that marriage, and neither Jacob nor Adelaide were happy. Then Felicity was Levi's wife and Jacob's mother. And she was having an affair with someone on staff, I say. Someone named Alex. We think Alex was also with Heidi at one point. Pretty sad for a teenager. Does this have anything to do with the treasure, I ask? Yes, she says. This has a few answers about a treasure. Felicity calls it Martin's treasure. Martin was Levi's brother, and he died in his 40s. She says Jacob hid Martin's treasure to spite his father, Levi, and Felicity is determined to find it. It sounds like she tore the place apart looking for it. She sounds crazy. A tear splashes down Aurora's face, surprising me. This is a fascinating story, but I don't understand the tears. I'm just like her, she says. Growing up, I always had enough. We lost everything a few times, but God always provided. We were never homeless, even though some of our homes were small. I have friends and food and a place to live. But I'm like Felicity, obsessed with my business. A new business is hard work, I say. I hate to see her cry. I'm finding that out. But you gave Abby an expensive vase and flowers, she says. Even that, you took the time to sit and play with her and teach her. My grandmother's nursing home needs help. They can't afford anything fancy, and that's good. They're not overcharging the people who stay there. But even then, they deserve beauty. I could help make that happen, like you could make Abby happy, like Felicity could have focused on her husband and her rich life and not gone crazy, searching for a treasure or cheating. I can't help but smile. You're comparing your business to cheating on a spouse. It's not like that. Now she's crying in earnest, and I simply hold on. This feels strange, because I'm dressed like I normally dress, and Aurora is dressed down. No artifice to her at all today. Do I have artifice to me? I don't think so, but I wonder. Finally, she winds down, and I keep holding her while she sniffles against my chest. She laughs when I pull a cloth handkerchief from a pocket and hand it to her. She laughs harder when she realizes it's monogrammed. Tell me you didn't do this, she says. Please don't have any more amazing skills. My mother did it, I say. She laughed the whole time. She finds my eccentricities amusing. I glance past Aurora and see the box of journal supplies in the corner, untouched. I wonder how long it's been since Aurora created for the joy of creating. I loved watching Abby play with colors and textures this week. I suspect Aurora could use a little childish fun right now. Aurora, I say quietly, will you teach me to make a junk journal? I'm sure you could figure it out, she says, turning to look at the corner. Maybe, but I want you to show me. I want to make one with you. Aren't we supposed to be doing a room design? She asks. I shrug. I want to do something with less purpose. A warm-up, maybe. She laughs. I guess so. She pulls out 2 bins of supplies and proceeds to spread supplies across her table, sliding all her business pages into a messy pile and placing them on her kitchen counter. I'm strangely proud of her. For a few minutes, she shows me her collection of junk journals, all empty. The whimsy of some of them makes me laugh, like one with cats all over it, each of them wearing sunglasses. You added the sunglasses, I say, pulling it close to see it. Yes, she laughs. That one took forever, because I had to find little sunglasses in magazines to fit each cat. I made 3 simpler ones while I was working on that one. But you don't write in them, I say. Do you give them as gifts? She shakes her head. They're too silly. Yes, they're silly, but that's their charm. I don't comment on that, instead digging a little deeper. What got you started making junk journals, since you don't like to journal? She laughs again. Lacy journals. Jane writes poetry. Precious journals. They went on and on about how wonderful it was, how cathartic. So I tried it, and hated it. Then I found this internet video about junk journals at the library. In high school, we didn't have home internet. A few weeks we didn't even have power, although it was June, so we never froze or anything. Anyway, what we did have was junk. Some of my first ones were made with old mail, receipts, odds and ends from my friends. I realized early on that I love making junk journals, but still hate to journal. Don't tell me. You journal every day. I laugh. You really want to find ways that I'm a failure. No, but you're also a little too good to be true. I shake my head. Aurora, nobody has ever said that about me. Nobody. I'm honored. You're welcome, she says, lifting her head from her cutting. She's got a stack of old magazines in front of her, and I'm looking through a bin of art paper from the hobby shop. She has odds and ends, ranging from old buttons to scraps of fabric to letter stencils. We could sit here and make junk journals for days. Anyway, I say, no. I do journal some, but not consistently. I'm not consistent with much. Making my clothes, yes, but nothing else. Not even... This week, I was reading the Bible. I read it daily my whole childhood, and then I let that slip away. I let a lot of things slip away. She puts her hand on mine. You're right, what you said about me. What if God wants me to be poor again? I can't handle that, so I micromanage my world. I don't let things slip away. I hold on to things too tightly. When you're at church, you seem fully engaged. Are you saying that's not real? I break life into sections, I admit. Spiritual, work, personal. Spiritual happens most on Sundays. I need to mix my life all together because it's only one life. I think the trick is better habits, like reading the Bible every day. I'm not good at habits. Not good habits, at least. I get lazy. I'm not always great with spiritual habits either, she says, as you pointed out. I cringe, but she smiles. It seems I've been forgiven. Maybe we can help one another, I say. I haven't talked to you since we lost Abby. Did you tell Laurel about that? She laughs. I did. I apologized 5 times in 15 seconds. Laurel laughed. She threw back her head and laughed and said she loves it when we discover parenting isn't easy. It made an especially good story that we jumped to the dumbest conclusion, thinking that little girl was going to sneak into the dark, and the whole time Abby was happy and had no idea she was lost. Because she never was lost, I say. We really were dumb, weren't we? But we discovered the journal, she says. I showed it to Lacey. I asked if I could hold on to it for a few days. I'm taking it back to her when we deliver our plans. Do we still plan to design a room? Yes, I say. Tomorrow is church. Can we meet afterward? She nods. I think that's good. Your place or mine? Mine, I say. Could you also take 5 minutes to help me with the books? She laughs, a full belly laugh. I'll help you, but not tomorrow. It's going to take you a lot longer than 5 minutes to learn the books, Rhodes Dumont. But it's okay. You're charming, and you're pretty, and you're kind, making all the girls swoon. That will get you far." I laugh at this, but stop when the look on her face says it's not entirely a joke. I know I'm kind. I mean, why not be kind? I've been treated unkindly enough that I work hard not to hurt people around me. The others? Who knows? I'm just me, the eccentric guy who doesn't have real courage, so pretends it with well-fitting vests and fancy shirts. For the next 20 minutes, we barely say a word to one another, each engrossed in our design. I look at Aurora's and can't help but laugh, a startled laugh that causes her to frown at me. "What?" she asks. "I now understand exactly what Daisy was saying to you. You're a nut pretending to be a professional, well-put-together businesswoman. I love it, Aurora, both sides of you." I hadn't quite meant to use the word love, and I hope she doesn't read too much into it. It seems she's paying more attention to the rest of what I said, and she looks at her design in surprise. Her entire journal is based on 2 sheets of mismatched papers. One is covered in cows, moons, and silverware running around hand in hand. I wonder if her time with Abby sparked the nursery rhyme theme. Then the other page is frogs, again whimsical. The colors don't work together, but she's cut a few frogs and set them in the curves of the moons, and she's used other textured papers and ribbon to pull it all together. "It's silly," she says. "I thought Abby could color in it, so I used plain paper and not lined paper." "I like it," I say. "You have many styles, Aurora Hart. I'm more limited." "No," she says. Then she tilts her head. "Yes, you're right. You have a distinctive style. It's a mix of vintage and modern, but it's a style. It's similar to Lacey and Daisy's style." "Lacey's," I say. "Pretty sure Lacey is the decorator over there. Daisy is the people charmer." "Yes." She looks impressed. "You see people." "Because I spend more time watching than engaging," I admit. "It was that hard for you? I don't understand." I shrug. I've told her the basics. Overprotective, doting mother, strange talents and passions, bullies, and my own insecurities. I'm not sure why this doesn't add up. "I mean," she continues, "why haven't more people tapped into your potential? Because you're Lacey and Daisy rolled into one. Design, charm, you're going to take nostalgia far, Rhodes." "As soon as I learn something about business." She flings out a hand like this is trivial, where I'm pretty sure this was a sticking point with her a few days ago. She's changing how she sees me. It's interesting to watch. "I can help you," she says. "Business skills can be taught, or farmed out. You're going to make your aunt proud." I've always been able to make little old ladies proud. I want to make other people proud. We finish our journals, each impressed with the skills of the other. "So," I say, "do you think we can work together as well as we did at our parallel play here today?" She laughs. "I hope so. I think we're stuck with your style. Let's just put it on the table. You might not be able to leave your style behind, where I'm a little more flexible." I'm not sure I like how that sounds, but I nod. "Then I get controlling," she says. "It's not wrong to take the client into consideration, but clients scare me, and I hate to take risks that might upset them. I'm not sure how to stop doing that." The honesty surprises me and shames me. Am I ever this honest? "If we work together well, we'll find a balance," I say. "I should probably think more of the clients, and you should think less. I don't have a method to put that into practice, but maybe it will help just to be aware of it." "Let's add one more thing," she says. She tilts her head again, gazing over my head. I never thought about this until right now, but suddenly, "Rhodes, let's pray over it." Pray over a room design? I'm not sure God cares about room design, but I don't want to say that. Yes, pray for the people who will use it. Pray for peace between us as we work on it. You said you left God on Sundays. I leave him in my personal life. Why can't God come to work with me? How can I possibly leave him at home when work takes the majority of my time? Maybe I won't be so scared if I take God to work with me. The words are beautiful, and they make sense. In a way, she's just found the missing piece for both of us. I'm not sure how to put it into practice, but I see the wisdom of it. God made all of me, the eccentric, the mama's boy, and the artist. I rarely give him all those parts. Maybe I never do. If I do, then what the ladies have been saying makes perfect sense. My whole life is his, so he gave me skills and gifts for all the different parts of it. Because to him, I'm not a patchwork of parts. I'm Rhodes Dumont, one guy. One guy God loves. How have I never seen this before? You're smiling, she says. So this isn't a dumb idea? Not at all, I say. Best idea I've heard in a long time. I leave that afternoon feeling supercharged. Things are looking up in multiple areas of my life. Now I hope I don't do something to screw it all up. Chapter 16. Aurora. I'm a little nervous in church. I know Betsy Miller hasn't found anyone to take over the nursing home volunteer job, and Rhodes is right that it's up my alley. He's also right that I need to look outside myself and not let work take over. But announcements come and go, and that need isn't announced this week. I sigh in relief. The truth is, he's right about a lot when it comes to me. How does he see me so well? I don't feel like I'm broadcasting all my weaknesses and coping mechanisms and messes, but he homes right in and sees them all. However, now that I know he's right, I need to do something about it. That something might be to volunteer at the nursing home. But I had another idea last night. I had strange, disjointed dreams about it, and if it's a real and viable idea, it means I might not have time in the near future for the nursing home. Or for my day job. I've got to make sure I keep room for my day job. There's a difference between prioritizing and being ridiculous. Rhodes might have a tendency to slide into the ridiculous category if something struck his passions, and this idea might do that. So we get through church without me looking cold because I don't volunteer, and soon we're sipping soup and buttering croissants in his loft. I can tell he straightened it up for my visit. His table is piled with magazines and idea folders, a lot like what I've got at my place, but the rest of the house is more organized than last time I was here. I'm not sure why that makes me feel bad. He cares what I think, so he got ready for me. He was looking forward to having me here. But there's something formal about him still trying to impress me. Aren't we past that? We've insulted one another's deepest issues. We should be able to deal with messy houses. I make no sense. Poor Rhodes. Neither of us says a word about our plan during the meal. Then Rhodes tucks the dishes into the dishwasher, puts up the leftovers, and sits back down at the table. I have a confession, he says. I had this strange idea. Not the in-room, though. I can't stop thinking about the carriage house, I say. I laugh. If God has actually put this idea into both our heads, I might jump up and down. Way to go, God, making the path freakishly clear. Yeah, he looks stunned. The carriage house. Why are you laughing? I had weird dreams all night about the carriage house. He stills. Dreams. Like prophetic dreams? I didn't consider them prophetic. Sometimes when a project really catches my attention, I'll dream about it. I haven't had that happen for a long time. I didn't dream about it, he says. He pulls out 2 sheets of paper, covered in quick, nearly unreadable sketches and notes. I was up at 3 a.m, catching ideas. They swamped me. Guest rooms with a shared bath and kitchenette. A big living area with soft furniture in clusters for visiting and intimate conversations. Yes, I say. Perfect. He grins. Maybe a couple smaller sitting rooms for, I don't know, counseling, meetings. I'm not sure about the purpose of this building. None of us are, I say. I look over his pages and point to a few of the images. I didn't see this, not exactly like this, but I kept seeing women around a table, and some on a sofa, the natural carriage house walls around them. I'm not sure we can do natural walls, he says. It's not very weatherproof. Unless, what if we built out and not in? Put something on the outside to keep it warm and dry, and leave the wood inside. He scribbles something else, and I laugh. Wait, I say. Wait. We already forgot. You're already lost in the art of it. We pray. Then, why don't we head over there, take some measurements? Only let's do it in secret. I don't want them to know what we're doing. He stops smiling. Are we going to upset them? I like your friends. I don't want to lose them. No, I say. His words surprise me. No, Rhodes, I'm not hiding from them like that. I want to surprise them. They're expecting room plans. Let's give them carriage house plans instead. I drive us out there, and the inn has 4 cars in the lot, as well as Daisy's. They must have a full house today. That makes it easier for us to sneak into the carriage house. However, Brody is in there, standing on a ladder with a hammer in hand. He looks like he's pulling out some nails. When he sees us, he jumps and then laughs. Sorry, I say. Didn't mean to startle you. Since you're working out here, do Daisy and Lacey have a plan? He looks at the board he was tending when we came in. No, nothing yet. I'm just making sure it's safe. Heath's sheet came down twice. And you two? Rhodes stands at my back, one hand low on my back. We had some ideas. We're here to take measurements. Give us something to play with. Brody's eyes widen, and he scrambles down the ladder. Sure, you can do that, and you can look around, but I also have all the measurements. You want that sheet? We do, and Brody disappears, bringing us a blueprint showing the doors, windows, and measurements for the whole building. How much land do they have? Rhodes asks. Brody points to the back of the building. It's more than they thought, most of it hopelessly overgrown. 25 acres in a rectangular plot heading back that way. Why? No idea, Rhodes says. Brody simply stands there, and then he shakes his head. I'll leave you to it. Lacey and Daisy have high hopes for your room. I bet a carriage house idea? They're worried about this. Some good ideas will help. He leaves, and we walk the room several times, discussing ideas. We have more ideas than space. Then Rhodes leads us out the back door, finding a wide area surrounded by a broken fence, as well as a lot of blackberry brambles and locust trees to block us from going further. What do you see? He asks me. He looks at the land, closes his eyes, and smiles. I hope you see what I see. You'll have to help me, I say. Remember, I'm the practical one, and from a practical standpoint, this looks useless. He nods. I don't know much about clearing land, but it can be done, right? Look out there, Aurora. A village, a campground, cabins. Havens, I say. Straw hat havens. Yeah, he says reverently. They have everything they need right here, from the main building to space for some smaller ones. You said it was about a rescue. I think this is a great place to catch people who are falling. I feel like your club already caught me. He says it quietly, shame in his tone. How can this man feel inferior? Why did God let him walk a road that wrecked his confidence like it did? But then, that made him kind, right? Charming. How much of what I see is the result of Rhodes coping with the hard knocks? I can't help myself, and I pull him close. He wraps me in strong arms. I'm glad, I say. So we don't just catch women now. I'm pretty sure Heath needed caught when he showed up too. He holds on and then clears his throat, backing up. He straightens his vest with both hands and stands up a little straighter. What do you think? Do we surprise them with the plan for Straw Hat Haven? We do, I say, except it might need a new name. I'm good with that, he says. God's answering already, isn't he? We asked him along, and he wants to participate. Pretty sure he always wants to participate, I say. Makes me wonder how much better my life and work and art and friendships would be if I'd always asked him to participate in everything. Chapter 17. Aurora. We weren't sure you'd make the deadline, Lacey says, as Rhodes and I squeeze into the lady's tiny office. Rhodes grins at me. Neither were we, he says. No bloodshed? Daisy asks. Did you two finally make some peace? Rhodes grins at me again. Yes, in the past couple days, we spent more hours together than apart. And yes, both of us would like to see that continue. Who says romance has to be difficult? We have a shared faith, stronger now than a week ago, shared passions, and even a shared sense of fashion. I'm thinking I'll keep him. Pretty sure he's thinking the same thing. Daisy takes the file in hand and opens it. Her eyes widen. Her hands go to her mouth. And then, in a strange twist, tears begin to leak from her eyes. She looks up at me, then focuses on Rhodes. He doesn't know Daisy well enough to understand, and his face falls. Did we misstep? He asks me. No, I say. Not at all. No, Daisy says. She holds the folder out to Lacey, who shakes her head and begins leafing through the pages. You planned this in 2 days, Lacey says. How did you do that? We tossed aside such petty items as sleep and food, Rhodes says. Mostly we prayed. Like right in the middle of drawing a wall, we called for help. I'm pretty sure the Holy Spirit wanted us to put this in your hands. I hope you like what he did. Daisy rolls her eyes. Way to put the pressure on, Rhodes Dumont. So if we say no to you, we're saying no to the Spirit? Rhodes laughs. We're just saying this is the first project of many I plan to undertake with spiritual direction. Daisy and Lacey pore over the contents of the folder forever. After 5 minutes, they wave us away, telling us to walk the property or have some tea while they process. We sit in the tea room, which is finished for the day, and Rhodes leans back in the chair. I could sleep for 3 days, he says. I hope working with the Spirit isn't always so draining. I don't feel drained, I say. I feel recharged. Yes, Rhodes says. Mentally, emotionally, yes. But my eyes feel like I've grown sandpaper eyelids. And we still have our day jobs, I say. I yawn. The past couple days were wonderful. We spent the first at the carriage house and then his place. I slept on his sofa for a few hours before we opened Nostalgia, and between customers we worked at the back of his shop. Wild Rose Refuge, he says. That's the name we came up with. We made a logo, of course. The name and logo were mostly me, and the design was his. Most of this was both of us. Compromises, a few tense words, a lot of laughter. And so help me, if either of us tries to roll our eyes at one another at this point, we nearly cry in pain. Who knew eye-rolling used muscles? We're too tired to talk, so we simply sit there. Laurel and Abby enter, and Laurel stands at the table and laughs at us. What happened to the two of you? She asks. Wild Rose Refuge, I say. Maybe. We ditched making a room and created a grand and expensive plan for the carriage house and 4 small cabins. Wild Rose Refuge. Maybe a good place for a mama and her adorable little one. Come here, adorable little one. Give Auntie Aurora some sugar. Abby laughs and leaps into my arms. Laurel looks teary. Wow, she says. I'm sure it will be beautiful. But if it's expensive... Rhodes shrugs. Things come together. The Spirit had a lot to do with the plan. He won't let us down. Laurel shakes her head. Not to burst your bubble, but sometimes I feel let down. Except, not right now. Right now, I don't feel let down at all. She looks at Abby when she says it, tucked into my lap, and I know what she means. Even the hard moments can lead to wonderful places. Rhodes. I'm having trouble sleeping. A million doubts and fears are marching through my head tonight. Lacey and Daisy loved our heavy-handed surprise, all the way down to the name and logo. Wild Rose Refuge. I admit I get goosebumps thinking about it. I've never worked with God that way. Created with God. Heath mentioned his own experience working with God when he appeared and looked over the plans. I saw his painting, the one with the crucifix and the bleeding man, a painting he says was the first time he created with God. Now he does it all the time. It will feel more natural the more you do it, he promised. I hope that's true. I find working with God a little scary. Knowing he sees and puts together all things for me, that I have plans written in his book from the beginning, and he promises to give me the resources to make them happen, I admit it feels overwhelming. I keep asking if I'm up to the task. Laurel laughs and says of course not. That's what the spirit is for. Aurora says she understands because she's still terrified to put too much time into this project and take it from her business. Faith is a journey, and she wants us to take it together. Yes, she's thinking romance. So am I. How can I resist a lady who finds suspenders to be a turn-on? How can she resist a guy who wants her to make art from her heart and toss the trends out the window? I guess we'll find the answers the further we go. I freeze because I hear something downstairs. Someone's in the shop, bumping something in the dark. A vase smashes, and I bolt upright and grab for my phone. I call 911 and let them know there's an intruder. The lady on the line tells me to stay put, maybe hide somewhere, and help will arrive soon. I don't hide. I find some well of reckless courage I didn't know I had, and I wrap a robe around my flannel PJs and creep downstairs. By the time I arrive, the shop is quiet, and the basement door is open. I think about what we found down there, the boxes we left behind, and I wonder if we took a journal and left a treasure. Why hadn't we gone back for it? Right, because we were worrying about a little girl and then designing a refuge. But wow, wouldn't a treasure have helped fund that refuge? I grab a flashlight and head down, thinking treasures and construction costs. I should be thinking about the bruises on my face and ribs, which still hurt, but for some reason, common sense has completely fled. I don't get far. The door is open to the next section, and I hesitantly pass through the doorway, only to find someone on the other side. He comes from the side, swinging, and he hits my cheek. My head whips to one side, and I back into the wall, which holds me up while he hits me again. "Where is it?" he hisses, leaning so close to my face I can smell coffee on his breath. "Where's the boxes? Books? What did you find? I know you found something." He's male, maybe middle age, maybe 30s, strong and taller than me. I wonder how he knows anything. I'm scared. I'll admit that. I'm a coward at heart, and I still hurt from last time, and I don't think the diary is a big secret. I need to get out of here alive, and that might mean giving this guy something. The police are on the way, and I need to stall this guy from killing me. That's a chilling thought. Will he kill me? Maybe. Someone killed that old man at the mansion. Diary, I say. Felicity Monterosa's diary. Nothing else. He shoves forward, crushing me into the wall. It's hard to breathe, and I choke and fight, but this guy is big. Of course there was something else, the man says. Diaries have to come from somewhere. You found it on the ground at your feet? No. You found the treasure. No, I say. No treasure. I bet your lady friend will tell us. I hear she has something to do with this. This is where I find a well of untapped strength and courage. Or maybe untapped madness. He's threatening Aurora. In the words, I hear years of bullies. I hear my mom telling me I'm special and I don't have to worry about the words of mean people. But what I always wanted was permission to hit back. I always thought it would help to hit back. Tonight, I hit back. He's playing on my fear, and he's not expecting me to act. What would he expect from a guy in blue plaid flannel PJs and a robe covered in puppies? So when I swing, I connect with his face. It hurts. I mean, it really hurts. Is it possible to break a bone on a man's face? He backs up, startled and maybe hurt, and I slide to one side and take the stairs. I'm almost to the top when his hand grips my robe. He stops me, and momentum has me bouncing back at him. Both of us roll down in a tangle, and we don't move at the bottom. "I'll find it," he hisses, and then he's on his feet. The flashlight hit the floor long ago, shining a strange patch on the far wall, so I see almost nothing of the man. He kicks me once, and then he turns and runs into the next basement. I wonder if he'll find the boxes. Maybe the treasure is lost. Sirens fill the air, and I pull upright and limp upstairs, curled around my ribs. I'm in pain, and I feel like a failure. I told him about the diary. That surely wasn't the right thing to do. The man didn't even have a weapon, and I caved. For a few minutes, things are confusing. Someone takes my shoulders and settles me on a chair in the display room, throwing a blanket over me. I hear the word shock. Then Aurora appears, and Heath is with her. Not what I was expecting. Aurora sits at my side, and Heath squats in front of me. "You okay?" he asks. I say nothing. I think I blink. "That's no," Aurora says. She looks at Heath. "Can you help him?" Heath nods and gets me to my feet. Together they help me outside, where a paramedic is waiting to see me. Both of them stay while the man checks me out. He wants me to go to the hospital. I refuse. I feel ridiculous. Heath is in clothes. I'm in silly PJs being a coward. "He threatened you," I whisper. I clear my throat. "I told him about the diary. I shouldn't have done it. He threatened you." "Is that when you got hurt?" Aurora asks. I nod, which hurts, so I close my eyes and let dizziness pass. Aurora puts her arms around me. "My hero," she whispers in my ear. "Whatever the bullies said to you isn't true, Rhodes. You're awesome, and I feel safe with you, and not everyone gets to walk on the arm of a genuine Regency romance hero. I don't care what the bullies think. The ladies who see me with you will be jealous." I laugh, but that hurts. I open my eyes and find Heath still here listening to this. Heath, ex-pro baseball player. Good thing it's dark, so he can't see me blush. "Good job," Heath says. "They found a knife on the floor. John says he thinks they'll be able to pull prints. We might know something after this. Do you think he'll find the boxes down there?" "I don't know," I say. "But the diary? Maybe it should be evidence for a while. Make sure local gossip knows it's locked up tight at the police station so nobody will come after Aurora." Heath grins. "Good idea." After a while, the chaos dies down. The street is dark and quiet again, and I'm upstairs on my sofa. Aurora and Heath are gone. I'm told I shouldn't stay here alone, but I lock my door and fall onto my bed. Whoever was here isn't coming back, and he's not coming back to the attic. How do I know this? No idea. But I know it. I'm safe here. As long as I don't mess around in the treasure hunt anymore, I'm safe here. "Peace," I say. I'm talking to God. I do that now. Peace that passes understanding. That's what I'm dealing with, isn't it? Or maybe shock. I'll call it peace. Thanks. Her hero. Can I be her hero? Can you be mine? I think I need a hero to go ahead of me and show me how to be a hero to her. I close my eyes, thinking I'll never sleep after this. And that's the very last thought I think before morning. Chapter 18. Aurora. I'm exhausted. Rhodes insisted he was fine and made us leave him alone in his loft, and I knew he needed that. This poor guy has no idea how the rest of us see him. However, I worried about him all night. Now that it's daylight, I text, not caring if he needs sleep or rest. I need to know he's okay. "How are you?" I text. I stare at the screen. If he's asleep and doesn't see this, I'm going to die of anxiety. "Still here. Sore." I let out a breath that turns into a laugh. "Thank you, God," I say out loud. I turn back to the phone. "Expect breakfast in an hour. Puppy robes are perfectly acceptable attire." I get no answer, and I start planning my morning. I'll grab something from the bakery and see if he needs help at Nostalgia this morning. I have some errands, but no appointments, so my schedule is flexible. I open my door to find Daisy and Lacey outside of it, Daisy's hand raised to knock. She laughs. "So," she says, throwing a look at Lacey, who has a folder in her hand. This is strange." I back up to let them in, and Lacey drops the folder on my table. "It's a contract," she says. She shrugs. "Right now, it's a contract with a lot of empty spaces. We have no funds. We have no timeline. But when God puts all that in order, we want you and Rhodes to help us create the refuge. It's amazing, Aurora. Beautiful and amazing." They said all this yesterday. I'm not sure why they're feeling a rush to bring a skeleton of a contract. I don't understand, I admit. "Keep a slot open," Daisy says. "The refuge will take time. You have a business to run, and so does he. And I'm not sure I know what we're saying. Brody suggested a contract. He suggested we make an offer on the design you made. Maybe that's closer to what this is. But we don't want you to sell us the design and then walk away. We want to hear you and Rhodes arguing out there over the best way to apply trim paint or exactly where the window fittings should go." "Daisy," I say. "Brody suggested this purchase? I suppose an old house needs a maintenance man's touch often. But we turned this over to the ladies last night, and it's not even 9 in the morning. Brody's apparently more part of things over there than I thought." "Daisy, of course we'll help you. You don't have to buy this design. We won't accept a penny for it. Here." I open the folder and read over the pages, which have a lot of spaces for future numbers. Where did they get this so fast? I skim to the end, and then I start again, crossing off everything on each page, giant X's, until I'm at the last page. Then I write a simple sentence on the bottom of the final page. "I promise to give you the time, effort, and enthusiasm to see Wild Rose Refuge come to fruition." I sign my name under it. Daisy is crying. Lacey's eyes are as wide as saucers. I roll my eyes. This action still hurts. "Guys, this is a Straw Hats project, okay? All of us." "Rhodes isn't one of us," Lacey says. "Maybe he needs the money for Nostalgia." I laugh. "Rhodes has no money sense at all. I promise he'll put his name here without a thought, even if it's a terrible idea. I'm taking him breakfast in a few minutes, and I'll let him look at this." "Is he okay?" Lacey asks. "Heath said he was impressive last night." "I don't think he felt impressive last night," I say. "Where did the journal end up?" "Everyone agreed the police should hold it for now," Lacey says. "Everyone being—" "Us," Daisy says, "and Brody and Heath." I nod and decide not to say anything about Brody. I know he likes Daisy. Maybe she likes him back. "I should go," I say. "Rhodes is expecting me." "Were you impressed?" Daisy asks. "You really like him. I'm glad, Aurora. I think he's exactly what you need. You're both what the other needs. I admit I'm envious." I nod. I'm always impressed. Sometimes intimidated, but always impressed. "Intimidated," Lacey says. "I can see that. But Rhodes is real." "Yes," I say. "And he has no idea he might be intimidating." "Okay. Thank you for this, and now I need to go. Do the police know anything else?" "Not that they've told us," Daisy says. "They might talk to Rhodes, since he was the victim." A few minutes later, I knock on the door to Nostalgia, which is still locked. Lights go on, and Rhodes lets me in, taking the bakery box from my hand and closing the door behind me. He's dressed, wearing a flowing poet's shirt and no vest today, his legs encased in worn, fitted breeches. His shoes appear to be leather slippers. This must be how Rhodes Dumont dresses down. He's stunning. "Food," he says. "I'm hungrier than I expected. Thank you. The police called." I nod and follow him to the back, where we set up a little picnic on his main work table. They retrieved the boxes. The intruder didn't find them. They contain little but clothes and shoes. No treasure. A couple more journals from other times in Felicity's life, but nothing else about treasures or affairs. The police will hold those too, but we can go read them if we want. Oh, the print! They found a fingerprint of a known felon from the Chicago area. Chicago, I say. Why Chicago? Hard to say, Rhodes says. He sips his coffee with a look of bliss on his face, his eyes closed. Yes, hot coffee. I think this will be a morning filled with coffee. I hand him the folder and explain what Daisy and Lacey had tried to do. He laughs. They thought they could pay us for the design? Silly ladies. Look at my new contract. Sign it if you agree. If the shop needs money, Rhodes, there's nothing shameful about getting paid for what we did. But you won't take the money, he asks. They're my people. They've helped me more than once. It's different. He reads my single sentence and grabs a pen. He looks at me before signing. Can they be my people too? Because it doesn't feel different. I laugh and move to his side of the table, pulling him to his feet and hugging him. How did God know exactly what kind of man I needed in my life? Exactly what kind of friend? Yes, I say, they're your people now too. We settle back down to eat, and Rhodes leafs through the contract. Who did this? No idea. They mentioned Brody. Maybe Heath. He can market and do accounting. Maybe he has a head for contracts. So, the baseball player or the handyman? Rhodes grins. I like this town. Nobody's what they seem. Everyone has layer upon layer. I hope that fingerprint will lead somewhere, I say. What's going on around here is dangerous. He won't be back, Rhodes says. I'm sure of it. You saw him. Is that dangerous? He wore a mask. I don't understand it, Aurora, but I'm not afraid. I feel like my part in this mystery is over. The police said they're going to look into Felicity's extended family, as well as Heidi and Alex, maybe other staff from the mansion and their families. They're surprised nobody else knows about a treasure. When a wealthy, influential family like the Monterosas have big secrets, usually there's talk. The police are surprised the whole town doesn't know about this treasure. We don't talk long about the mystery. Instead, we discuss Wild Rose, and we discuss my new venture in Hollow Fork, because I got the account, and Rhodes's ideas for nostalgia. We also spend a lot of time discussing working with God. I might say yes to the nursing home, I say. For now. When Wild Rose finds its funding, that will take a lot of time. Would it make your life easier if I offered to help you, he asks. I can't tell you to use your skills and then not use mine. I laugh. I'd love that. So we're going to work together. Not officially, not in our businesses, but I suspect that will begin to mingle soon. Rhodes moves to my side and kisses the side of my head, pulling me to his chest. I'm glad you're safe, he says. I wasn't here. I was never in danger. He threatened you. Rhodes had said that last night. I didn't realize how deeply the words had cut, what kind of fear they'd caused. Should we move? I ask. Hide or something? No, he says. The police think we're safe. There's no reason to think there's a treasure here. And the building owner is dropping some money for a powerful security system. I don't know why, but I feel peace about us. We're going to be safe. Max Castleton was murdered, I say. Rhodes pulls me closer. I know. What if we have more than one treasure hunter here? I feel deep in my bones that the man who robbed this place isn't a threat now. But yes, someone else out there might be, maybe more than someone. But the treasure has to be elsewhere, so I feel like we're okay. This may or may not be true, but Rhodes's words make me feel better. Everything about Rhodes calms me. I think I spur him forward, and he grounds me. God is pretty clever when he puts people together. Heath and Lacey and their years of distant love. Now me, here with a man who can do nothing but throw a wrench in my perfect plans. The house, I say. It's okay if that doesn't happen. Rhodes laughs. I'm not opposed to you buying a house. This is forward and inappropriate, but maybe one day we'll be signing a mortgage together. But until that happens, let's let God have a little more say in the plans. I say that to both of us. Wild Rose was amazing. God actually wants my skills for His purposes. I didn't believe that. I can't help but kiss him. I like the future God is laying before me. I could do without the scary, dramatic moments, but the rest of it? Yeah, I like where it's going. The end. This has been Top Hats and Bow Ties, written and narrated by Jill Penrod.